Cheers, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we are continuing our Roman Empire discussion of Blank the series, Season 2, Episode 1, because it's a lot.
It is.
It's so
over
much.
70 pages.
I mean, it is the episode, so there are many things to say. So to spare you from a 4+ hour discussion, we split it up into 2. So this is part 2. So if you missed part 1, go find it. There's part 1. Now we're going to get into part 3 and 4 of this episode, because so much happens in this episode. It's wild. They really started season 2 off strong.
Yes.
But before we get into all that goodness, just quick plug, if you're new here for some reason, hello and welcome! You picked a really good episode to start with, because it's so good. If you love Blank the series, become a Patreon. I'm just going to say that. For $5 a month, you can watch us react to all of this. You get these discussion episodes early without ads. We also have a ton of other stuff on there. We are filming as things come out, like the Loyal Pin. We're filming. We did all of The Secret of Us is on there, all of Gap, the reactions. So if you're into reaction videos, just go check that out. Yeah. And then hit us up on Discord. There's a bunch of people in there now. You know who you are. We love you. Who are just talking about all these shows as they come out. So, like, if you're into the Thai girl love shows, just become a Discord member and just meet some friends who also love talking about this too, because it's so much fun.
There's currently a lot of excitement for all the shows coming out.
All of them.
Which will probably be airing as this is coming out.
So, by the time you get this, there's probably more stuff on our Patreon than I mentioned.
There's going to be so much. Like, we filmed so much.
It's only going to get worse.
I know. What is time?
That was our question in the last part of this episode. What is time? Time is the ultimate gap. So, anyway, there's that. Anything else you'd like to add, Kaitlynn?
No.
All right, so let's get into this. Oh yeah, I guess if you stick around to the end of this episode, Kaitlynn will give you a super secret bonus word that you can incorporate into a comment and or review that brings us joy. Some of you have been doing it, and we love you. And you've been just, like, killing it with your incorporation of these words.
So we forget that it's the word. I don't know how you remember that is word. Someone used the word orangutan, and I messaged Theora, because I woke up to the comment. I was like, Theora, you need to read this the first thing that you do when you wake up. And it was amazing. And we both forgot that it was.
It's amazing. So yeah, it brings us lots of joy. So we appreciate it. All right. So speaking of first thing in the morning, let's shoot over to the morning after Top Big Nung did her thing. So she's a changed woman the next morning. I couldn't believe this. Like, it's like puppy dog Big Nung woke up the next morning. She's just like, she's up. Because she's so happy. And Lil Nung's like passed the fuck out. Because, like, that was a big night for her of just, what the fuck was even all of that? Anyway, so she's passed out. And Big Nung's awake. And Big Nung is just like, looking at, like, she's just like, tracing her face with her fingers and just smiling. And like, oh my god, like, changed woman right here. Just like, it's like the most precious thing in the entire world. Like, it's fucking adorable the way she wakes up.
The biggest change is that she's next to her in the morning.
Yeah, they actually have a morning after. Well, no, that's not true. I mean, I guess she's in the bed with her, but yeah, this is a pleasant morning after for Big Nung. But it doesn't stay that way. But the thing about it is that, like, Big Nung is letting herself feel her feelings and express them the way she wants to. So this is a Big Nung without any kind of mask. She's not waking up second guessing what she did. She's not burdened by all the outside influences that are complicating the situation. She's just existing in this moment. And look at how happy she is. Like, that's so beautiful. Like, she's keeping her true to her promise from the prior evening to make this up to Little Nung in every way and be worthy of her trust again. Like, she really is, like, committing to that in this moment. But then Little Nung wakes up.
Yeah, man.
But then Little Nung wakes up. And Little Nung, when she came into the palace, did not check her pettiness at the door. She brought it in with her. And then we get a huge, why are we here moment. The first time I watched this, I was like, why are we here? Why are we doing this? Writers, what the fuck was this?
I mean, this is all I thought about in the previous scene, so.
But this is worse. Where Little Nung wakes up and she's like, again, she's in the cursed white button down. So whoever is wearing that button down is getting fucked over. So she's in the button
down.
Not
in the good way.
Not in the good way, yeah. Is doing the fucking of the other person over. Because Big Nung was wearing it when she fucked over Little Nung the morning after last time. Now the roles are completely reversed here. Okay.
What if they both wore that in their wedding?
That would not go well. Bad omen. So Little Nung wakes up and she's like, how did I get these clothes? I don't remember what happened last night. And it's like, okay, then we start with like a potential like date rape implication. I'm like, why are we here? Why are we implicating like date rape happened last night? I'm like, this is not okay. Like, what is happening? And like, again, like the setup for it, not unfounded, because like Little Nung was super drunk and could have blacked out, and just like we never addressed the fact that this girl was super drunk while all this shit was happening, which leads me to another question when I'm thinking about this. Like, why are the writers so hell-bent on having these two connect in meaningful ways when one of them is not mentally fit for it? Just why did we do that not once but twice? I have 2 nickels I didn't ask for with these scenes.
I love you. Oh my gosh.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not. They are.
Again, I didn't ask for these nickels. And what I don't appreciate about this particular like twist on that is that it's incredibly weird and uncomfortable that Big Nung in the beginning of this doesn't believe Little Nung when she's saying she doesn't remember the prior evening. She's like, oh, you're just hungover. And that's not how hangovers work. It doesn't give you amnesia. Like, it paints Big Nung as the bad guy once again, and it oddly frames her as somebody who doesn't listen to Little Nung. And I'm just like, why did I wake up to character assassination in this scene? It's just like, it was weird. Yeah, this was really weird. It took me out. I mean, I was like,
all I could think of at the end of the last part was that she was going to wake up and not remember anything. Because, I mean, she was falling over.
Right. Again, that part, not unfounded. We could definitely be there. But Big Nung's reaction to Little Nung being like, I don't remember what happened, was weird.
She should have been freaking out right away.
Correct? Like, she should have been like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you were super drunk. I had to, like, carry you home. Like, I mean, like, come on, girl. Like, she's not the best decision maker, as we've established. She's learning. She's a messy 30-year-old. But, like, the fact that she was, like, super didn't believe her was weird. It's not a Big Nung thing. Like, it was very weird that she was very dismissive of that thing that was a possibility, Okay. Oh, but, okay. So the essay didn't happen, okay? This was all consensual and fine. Because in reality, Little Nung just woke up and chose violence this morning. That's actually what happened.
You're right. You're fully right.
So first she's like, I don't remember what happened, Big Nung. She's not like, you would think if she didn't remember, she'd be real surprised, be like, why the fuck am I with you? But no, she's just like, I don't remember anything. Also, I have to go meet with my friends. And like, she's so like high and mighty about it. And Big Nung starts getting uncomfortable and / jealous. And she's like, don't go hang out with your quote friends, the people you've been sleeping with while we've been apart. She's like, how about you go home right after class? I'll come pick you up. Like, implying that Big Nung wants to spend more time with her, right? Because Big Nung is just being true to what she wants in the scene. And this is when I think Little Nung finally realizes, because Big Nung is like kind of begging. I think Little Nung realizes she finally has all the power, okay? And she wields it 100% in this conversation against Big Nung in the way that Big Nung was using her power to hurt Little Nung prior. So this is like a mirror of like the last scene in 106, basically. And again, valid. She's hurt. She was humiliated. Big Nung did was terrible. So she's like, I'm gonna flip the script because now I can hurt you and maybe you'll see how it feels, which is what happens. So Little Nung is a petty bitch. That's just part of what she is. I love her for it. No judgment.
I mean, I love petty bitches.
Right.
When it doesn't involve me.
Right. I stand a petty bitch. This is Taylor Swift behavior. I'm here for this. And she's not going to cave to Big Nung. And it's like, valid, girl. So basically what she does in the scene is she projects all of her hurt feelings onto Big Nung. Still, in the light of day, she is sober now, still doing this, which is valid. And then she basically uses all of Big Nung's language from like the 106 breakup onto Big Nung. And she's like, oh, wait, now I remember what happened. Magically. Because again, she's being a petty bitch. She's like, Big Nung, what did you expect from last night? Like, because her petty ass is basically like, well, Big Nung, you established that we have this tit for twat situation going on, okay? That's our relationship now.
So you meant to say it like that, okay.
Yeah, tit for twat. And there's no strings attached, right? Isn't that what you wanted? And so she says, if you, Big Nung, don't want anything from me, let's just reset all this back to 0. Okay, because that is what Big Nung said to Little Nung, right? So she's phrasing her words very carefully here to put, and in the way she phrases it, she says, if that's what you, Big Nung, she's assuming that's what Big Nung wants in the scene, right? And I think why she's phrasing it that way, instead of saying, because Big Nung in the other conversation was saying that I want to reset this. So Little Nung isn't saying I want to reset it. She's saying you want to reset it, right? Because that's your pattern of behavior. And I think this is Little Nung's way of testing Big Nung to make sure if Big Nung, all the shit she said last night, right, that she's never said before, where she's like, I'm going to make you trust me, I'm going to show you that I love you, all this kind of stuff, Little Nung's like, okay, you seem real good at saying all the shit I want to hear when we're in the moment. We're not in the moment anymore. Let's see if you still mean what you're saying, right? So I think this is a bit of a test to be like, is Big Nung going to fight for me the way she claimed she was going to, right? So then she says, let's reset, let's go back to 0. Basically erasing all the shit that happened last night, all the promises. Big Nung said, she's like, I will give you a get out of jail free card.
I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, but I mean, this is the test she picked.
I mean, she's just throwing Big Nung's words back at her face. And here's the deal. So I think that if Little Nung proposed this to Big Nung, like let's say they met and they were not an age gap, and let's say like Big Nung was in her 20s like Little Nung is, and then all this shit went down. And she basically said this to Little Nung, like, hey, this was a one and done kind of thing. Let's reset it. You go about your life. I think that if Big Nung was a younger person, back when she was all rebellious and shit, I think that, and Big Nung had real feelings here, like she does, I think she would have protested this very strongly and fought for what she wanted, without hesitating. But in this scene, she doesn't do that. And that's because the biggest impact that Little Nung has on Big Nung is she teaches Big Nung a life-changing lesson, which is how to be a more selfless person and how to put others' needs before your own, right? Because prior to Little Nung, Big Nung acted out of her own self-interest or selfishly, meaning that Big Nung fought for what she wanted regardless of how it affected other people, right? That's how we got the fallout with the Gray Man. That's how we got the song situation. You know, we've talked about this before. So, but she has regrets about that now, and we've seen her grapple with that kind of over and over again, how her decisions can impact other people, okay? And now, earlier in the episode, when they were fighting, okay, let's go back to the prior night. Remember when they were having the big fight after Auntie Nim disappeared? Little Nung called out Big Nung for this exact behavior when she asked, have you ever thought about how I feel? Implying that, like, Big Nung only thinks about herself. She doesn't think about other people, okay? And a big thing of Big Nung's arc, is trying to make amends for the past. And I've talked a lot about this. A lot of her thinking with Little Nung and what causes her to oscillate is that she's trying to prevent Little Nung from, like, living her life and, like, burning familial bridges and things like that. So, like, Little Nung, so Big Nung doesn't just think about herself. She does think about Little Nung. She does think about her feelings a lot. And it's because she cares for Little Nung so deeply that Big Nung, in this scene in particular, it's very evident that her thinking transitions from selfish to selfless. Okay, because when Little Nung is telling her, let's pretend this never happened, like, Big Nung does not want that. We saw how she woke up. Like, when Little Nung was asleep, you saw what she was doing. Like, this is clearly what she wants. It clearly makes her happy. And so when Little Nung is saying this, like, let's forget this ever happened, I think the temptation for Big Nung to act selfishly and be like, no, is really great. Like, that is clearly what she wants to do. Like, she wants to pour her heart out, fight against what little Nung is saying, and tell her, no, like, I want you, I want more. Like, you see the conflict all over her face when this is happening. But and that is what little Nung wants her to do, truly. But the irony is that big Nung changed. Like, little Nung has changed her forever. And what she learned is what it means to put other people's needs before hers. And Faye shows big Nung struggling. She struggles to shove down her own emotions, these new emotions she's just learned to accept like an hour ago. And she does that because she'd rather give little Nung what little Nung wants than like override little Nung's feelings to act on what she wants. Because big Nung's response to little Nung saying, let's reset, is, if that's what you want, you, little Nung, then let's pretend that nothing happened. She doesn't say, yes, that's what I want. She says, if that's what you want, I'd rather give you what you want than like fight you. Okay? So she's being selfless in this moment because she believes that's what little Nung wants. And I think she does respect little Nung a lot. And she respects little Nung's desires because, as we've seen, so many people in her life just like steamroll over little Nung constantly. And I think that big Nung doesn't want to be like all these other adults in her life that are constantly like imposing their will, right? So she's like, okay, if this is really what you want, I disagree with it, but like I'm willing to sacrifice myself to give you what you want.
She just didn't respect her feelings that one night.
I mean, we've gone over this a million times. She did, but she, we are where we are. But the irony of this conversation, what I love is that they're not on the same page when they're having this conversation, because what little Nung wants, the whole point of this is little Nung is trying to get big Nung to fight, and she wants her to never stop fighting for their relationship. Like, she wants big Nung to admit that she wants to be with her. She wants big Nung to say, I want everything from you. I want to be your everything, that kind of thing. And it's so obvious that is what big Nung wants. But she's holding back, and I think little Nung sees that yet again and is just so beyond frustrated with this like oscillating behavior. And so in the scene, big Nung fails this test that little Nung is giving her. And little Nung is like, I don't want to be trapped in this endless cycle of hot and cold with you. So she's like, fine, I guess we're just going to pretend this never happened. Everything you said last night, that never happened. All the things that I said, the pet name, forget it. And then she leaves. And what I love so much about this scene is that like the irony is that like little Nung can't see the self-sacrifice that big Nung is making by accepting this pretend it never happened thing she's proposing. And little Nung can't see that big Nung loves her so much that she's willing to sacrifice her own happiness for little Nung's happiness. And big Nung can't see that little Nung's happiness is having her and all that kind of stuff. And it's basically a really well done and sophisticated, quote, miscommunication scenario. And I'll never be over the scene because it's so well done and just, it's so good. I love it so much.
I can tell. I mean, yeah, I understand why it has to happen. And I do appreciate the pettiness of throwing back the same words. I just want them to be happy, man.
They will be. They get there, but like this scene is so good though. Like, oh my god, it's so good.
It is.
They get there.
It's definitely better than the next scene.
I mean, Chet's in the next scene, so obviously by default it's better. But yeah, no, it's an amazing scene. I'm glad it exists, minus the essay implications. That was weird, but damn, like what a scene. Good job, ladies.
I'm glad that they didn't actually have her forget.
No, that would have pissed me off.
So, I'm assuming later the same day.
I assume we wake up, little Nung chooses violence, and then big Nung's like, oh, I gotta meet Chet, ew. The worst day ever. Worst morning ever.
Did he make an appointment, or did he just show up again?
I mean, either way, poor big Nung. Her whole fucking morning was a hot mess.
That too. Okay, so Chet comes to the palace to show big Nung these incriminating photos of little Nung at the bar with boys. And Chet's just freaking out in all the ways right now, because how dare his little girl hang out with boys.
Unreputable. He calls them rascals and shit. What I love about this scene, though, again, Chet's in it, so ew. But the irony that I love is that both Chet and Big Nung are super bothered by the dudes hanging all over Little Nung, but they're upset for very different reasons this is happening. And I do love that. They are also not on the same page in the scene. So we go from one scene where they're not on the same page to another scene. They're not on the same page either.
The irony of every scene with Big Nung and Chet is that it's basically the same scenario.
They are not on the same page. Well, yeah, they're not on the same page.
But also, Chet, you have an adult daughter. You gotta get, you have no, first of all, you have no say in all of this.
I was like, yeah, first of all, she barely knows you.
Second of all, get used to it. That's all. I have nothing else to tell him but that.
I do love that Big Nung is like, well, your daughter's hot, basically, what do you want? And he's like, how dare you say things like that? She's like, well, she's a young, attractive woman, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
Have you not been young? Like, come on, Chet. I think that's what he's worried about. He's like, fuck, like, I was terrible at her age. Like, I'm worried she's gonna get in trouble.
It's like, did she turn out terrible like me?
Well, also, like, is this karma for Chet? Because part of his motivation for, like, abdicating responsibility with Pingfa was, like, he was afraid of his dad. Because his dad was, like, the prime minister and shit. And she's like, wow, I can't be a fuck up. My dad's a public figure. He'll kill me. So, like, is this his karma to, like, possibly have a daughter who's about to do the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, this is how it feels, Chet. How do you like being on the other side of this?
Karma's a bitch.
Karma is a cat purring in my lap.
Purring in your lap. That one's better. Okay, but Big Nung plays dumb when she sees these photos and is like, she's hanging out with these group of boys? What? This is brand new information. Insert the meme thing. So Chet had people follow Little Nung because he inherited the mob instead of Big Nung for some reason, because the Grand Mam liked Chet better.
I guess.
I don't know if I said it before or if I have it somewhere later. My theory is that Chet and Kirk share custody of the mob because the Grand Mam wanted the guys in their life so bad. So they share custody, but Kirk was a good guy and was like, I don't want responsibility of this mob, and then gave it all to Chet. That's what came out of my brain.
I'm surprised Nung didn't get the mob. She'd be a great mob boss, I'm just saying. I mean, she proves it in the scene. She, like, basically steers Chet to do what she wants with the mob.
But then when Big Nung says that your daughter is very charming, Chet's oblivious, as usual, and is like, this is not a time to joke around. Sir, Big Nung was not joking around.
No. Not at all.
And then she tells him that he needs to be careful because Big Nung wouldn't be happy if he found out that, he had someone tailing her. And he says he doesn't plan on letting her find out. But what if Big Nung slips and tells her accidentally on purpose?
I'm surprised Big Nung never tells her this. Because, like, if she did, they would... This is what is their downfall later, is the whole Chet is tailing Little Nung situation.
Who knows?
But yeah. You can skip my thought. You already said it.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so Big Nung then walks Chet out of the palace because, she most likely didn't want him there in the first place. Because who does?
No one. Nobody wants Chet. He just shows up.
Yeah. Is he the STD as well?
Maybe.
Okay, so Big Nung then asks if he's going to tell, Little Nung's mother about this. But apparently she's back in the US now. That happened in between seasons. And he's like, she can't do anything. Like, you have all the power with her. So that's why he told Big Nung.
Yeah.
And then we get more weird stuff from Chet. He's like, should I be Little Nung's advisor. I first of all, I don't know what that means in this context, but then he's like, I should be more understanding, because if he doesn't, she will go against him and not rely on him anymore. And I'm like, she doesn't rely on you now, Chet. Like, she's never wanted anything from you.
No, she's actually flat out told you that. She doesn't want anything from
you. Go away. She doesn't want you. You literally abandoned her.
I know. It's ridiculous. Again,
and that was his choice.
I know. He's trying to, again, 20 years later, step into the role of father and what that means in this society, which is that he needs to approve of her suitors and he needs to approve of who she marries. That's what he's trying to do now. So when he says advisor, he means literally what the grandman was doing for Sam and Nung, where she screens all the men and then she's like, this one, I picked this one for you. So that means this person is already good because I vetted them. So that's what he's like, so he sees her with a bunch of dudes and she's like, fuck, she's not doing the family protocol, which is to ask me permission, me the dad, permission to let her date this dude. I have to screen him because that's my job as father, is to protect her. That's the role, right? So he's like, oh shit, she's not doing that, fuck. And then he's like, okay, Nung, she listens to you. How do I get her on my side? Because clearly she doesn't see me as somebody she can talk to about this stuff, and like she should, because I'm her dad. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to like get into the father role, and he's like, I know if I push her, because I watched her with Pinkfa, I know that if I push too hard, she's gonna reject me more, and then I really won't be able to control this situation. He uses the word control specifically, because that's the father's role, is to control who she dates, right? So he's like, how do I get her willingly to let me control her life? And Big Nung's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, dear. I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to work because she's like me. And we don't want that. Also, like, I love the irony of this whole conversation is that the suitor is Nung. And she's hearing all of this from him. And she's like, shit, I got to watch out for him.
That is also every conversation.
I do love it. But it's more like... But prior to this, Nung didn't really see herself as a true suitor. Now that she's like, I want to date her. Now she is definitely like, I'm already crossing into the suitor territory, and you have no idea about me, and you want to control who she's dating. She's starting to be like, oh fuck. Like, she's starting to like, get real nervous about her role because she's the advisor in this situation. She's like, I'm the one kind of fucking your daughter, and you have no idea. And like, anyway. It's very messy. So, I love it. He's trying to control Little Nung's life, and Big Nung's like, well, she's dating me, so, doubt that. So then the last part is, he says, when I'm close to my daughter, I will invite her boyfriend to visit our home. Then everything's under my control. And, because again, like, that's his role as father in this patriarchal kind of system, I guess. So, but Big Nung, the suitor, is hearing all this, and she's super torn by this, because, like, on the one hand, Chet's ridiculousness can help get rid of her competition and keep Little Nung safe from the gross men that are trying to, like, get her drunk at bars. But also, this conversation with Chet is really a warning that Chet will for sure come for her once he finds out about her situationship with Little Nung. So it's kind of like, cool, I could use you to help me, but then also I'm fucked later. Because you're not going to like where this is actually going, Chet.
Okay. So then we go back to the mall. Because we're always at the mall. If we don't go to the mall once an episode, what are we doing?
I don't know.
So Big Nung goes to the mall with Juan Viva. And Juan Viva is trying to find something in a particular color. And Big Nung just seems like she is over shopping. She doesn't want to be there anymore. And I don't blame her. Because I'd be the same way.
Okay, I love that, like, Juan Viva seems to be enjoying shopping. Because she's always at the mall voluntarily, right? So she just seems to genuinely enjoy this. She ropes Big Nung into it. And Big Nung seems like you said, she's the type of person who has zero patience for shopping. Especially somebody who's like, let's go to a fourth store. She's like, bitch, we've been to 3 shops already. What do you mean you can't find? Just pick something.
Just buy it online.
Yeah, well, first of all, that. But it gives me the impression that, like, Big Nung isn't the type of person who likes shopping, which is valid. Which is a amazing contrast to the next episode where she's taking Little Nung shopping and she has all the patience in the world and is super attentive and is like, no, let's go to as many stores as you want. So, yeah, anyway. So, that's Big Nung when she's, like, in love with you and not in love with you. So, sorry, Juan Viva. Not that Juan Viva cares. She has a girlfriend at this point. But again, the fact that we keep running into Juan Viva at malls in the middle of the day, I'm not convinced she's a real doctor because the bitch is never at work. Like, how is she not at work right now? It's the middle of the day. Like, girl.
Well, I have no explanation. I was like, maybe she's a dermatologist.
I don't think she is, but either way, like, even, anyway. And then I love when, like, Big Nung is, again, just trying to get the fuck out of there. And she's just like, well, how about that shop? Can we, the one next door? Because I want to get out of here. And Juan Viva's like, that shop doesn't look nice. Like, what an elitist bitch.
She knows what she likes.
Big Nung's like, oh my god, I don't even want to be here. Because, like, okay, wait a minute. Because now I'm thinking, I'm like, why is she even at the mall with Juan Viva? She hates shopping. Is this her version of, like, getting drunk at the bar? Where she's like, I just need a distraction that will just take my mind off of my heart, my living my all too well moment. And so she's like, Juan Viva, what the hell are you doing? And she probably, like, took her out for lunch and was like, well, I'll feed you if you come shopping with me after. And Big Nung's like, fine. So I think this is her version of getting drunk at the bar. Like, this is not Big Nung behavior at all.
Mm-hmm.
But she wants a distraction from her feelings.
It's a little weird for her to be hanging out with someone.
Right. Yeah, it is.
But also during this, Juan Viva took Big Nung's arm and is, like, hanging on to her.
Yeah. She's a little claw.
And conveniently, in this moment, Little Nung shows up with Folk. And then they stare at each other across a crowded mall.
And cue dress, the mall edition. Secret moment in a crowded mall. Although I will say that Folk and Juan Viva get the gist of what's happening here. There's a very obvious screenshot I have later where they're like, oh, got it.
So, Little Nung, seeing that Juan Viva is all over Big Nung, because that's Juan Viva's default setting, grabs Folk's arm. And this makes Big Nung immediately, like, shrug off Juan Viva's arm, because she's like, oh, no, shit, I got caught. Not that she was doing anything bad, it was Juan Viva. Little Nung wants to hurt Big Nung in this moment, while Big Nung is trying to stop hurting Little Nung. Stop trying. Oh my god, what are words? Is trying to stop hurting Little Nung.
Yeah, and there's a moment where, like, it's, like, dramatically, like, Little Nung and Folk walk away, and, like, Big Nung at first doesn't do anything. She's just starstruck and just staring at Little Nung and, like, having all of these feelings and just, like, not listening to Juan Viva. And I think that's when Juan Viva and Folk put it together and they're like, ah. Because Folk is like, why are you touching me? This is weird. And then he, like, sees the way Big Nung is overtly staring, like, her jaw's on the floor. Looks like her heart's breaking. And then Juan Viva, I think, too, is like, huh. You were fine a minute ago, and then this girl that I've seen before, I think this one she kind of puts it together, or starts to put it together.
There's nothing straight going on here.
No, not at all. And I think the two wing people, the wing bros, are like, okay. Okay.
So, Folk and Little Nung walk off, and, like, the rest of the scene, I think, is hilarious. Yes. Because Big Nung tells Juan Viva that she doesn't like it when someone is clinging to her arm, which, not technically true, just saying. But, really, she doesn't like when anyone but Little Nung does it. But in this case, she just didn't want Little Nung to think that she is dating someone else, which is fair.
Also, who is clinging to her arm? The woman that Little Nung has... Remember, they got a huge fight when Juan Viva dropped Big Nung off and was doing this shit because Big Nung was trying to make Little Nung jealous, and Little Nung does not like Juan Viva because Big Nung at the time implied that they had a past, which they do, and so for Big Nung to be like the night before, express her undying love to Little Nung, and then have Little Nung reject her in the morning, And then what is time? And then the next time they see each other, I'll just say that, here's Big Nung with Juan Viva, and Juan Viva is clinging to her arm, which Little Nung knows is something Big Nung doesn't let people do. So that looks really bad, okay, for somebody who was like trying to win her back, right? So it looks bad. And what I love in this scene is that Big Nung telling Juan Viva not to cling onto her arm is new. Like, that never bothered her before. Because, like, she didn't care. I don't think... Because they are relatively close friends. I mean, she has, like, 2 friends. One of them is Sam. And... and...
2.5. Half is Mon.
Right. And Mon, they're a package deal.
They're the same person.
Yeah, and this just behavior from Juan Viva never really bothered her before. I don't think she ever cared. She really didn't care. But now it suddenly bothers her because I think in her brain, like, this is something special that Little Nung does. And Big Nung likes that Little Nung does it. And then I think she was reminded of that when she saw Little Nung doing it with somebody else. And then she's like, oh, wait, no, don't do that. And I love the way Juan Viva, I'm sorry. Continue. The way Juan Viva responds to this is like, girl, what? Like, are you okay?
Yes, so Juan Viva gets upset that Big Nung won't let her cling to her because she says that it's only when you are not close to the person, but that it happens like this. But she thought they were closer than that. And she's also clung to her arm multiple times before, like you said. She then confidently leaves the scene saying, let's go. Stop playing hard to get.
Right.
I mean, this sentence, this whole part of the scene might just get my Big Gay Energy Award.
I valid. Oh, shit. We forgot to do the Big Gay Energy Award.
We did forget that. I just realized that.
Fuck. Top Big Nung gets Big Gay Energy Award. I'm sorry. Damn. We might have to record that. We'll see when we get to that later.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, like, stop playing hard to get. She's just like, she doesn't take, like, all this bullshit from Big Nung. She's just like,
no, she does. She almost, okay, I'm really curious to watch Affair because she gives me Little Nung energy in this scene where she's like, don't cling on me. And she's like, we're close. I'm clinging to your arm. That's what Little Nung does. She does the same argument as Little Nung. I'm curious how similar they are.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
What she said in this scene.
So funny.
I'm going to have to revise my notes for the next episode because it just made me realize something. But anyway, back to this episode.
Wait. One more thing about Juan Viva because I just think she's really funny in the scene. I just love the way she does read like a friend that has known Big Nung for a very long time. And she's like, quit being weird. No. Like, you know what I mean? Her attitude is not, it's not like she's dismissing Big Nung. She's almost like, she's like, you've said this shit to me before. Fuck you, Nung. Like, be quiet. We're friends. Like, you've let me do this my whole life. Like,
the type of friend who you can go, like, years without talking to.
Yes.
But you can always just, like, reconnect easily.
Yeah. She just reads me as somebody who does actually know Big Nung pretty well.
Yeah.
It's like, quit being weird. Kind of is basically what she's saying in this argument. But, like, again, Big Nung can't confide in people about this relationship thing that's going on. So it's just like, yeah, it reads this weird to Juan Viva.
She knows Big Nung's status and isn't afraid to say things like this to her.
I know, exactly. Like, clearly they're close. She's like, shut up, Nung. Come shoe shopping with me or whatever. Oh my god.
It's like, let's go.
Let's go.
One more store.
10 more stores. How long do you think they're actually shopping at this mall? Like, poor Nung.
It's a toss-up between, like, 20 minutes and, like, 3 hours.
Oh, no, it more than 20 minutes. 20 minutes was, like, her at the first store, and poor Nung was like, oh my god, Jesus.
Well, it was either Big Nung being over-dramatic about going to, like, just stopping in each store, or it was actually Juan Viva taking a bunch of time in each store. You never know with Big Nung.
Or Juan Viva.
Or the timeline.
Yeah, what is time? It's the ultimate gap.
So, Big Nung goes back home and lays on her bed thinking about everything we just saw. So, of course, we get totally necessary flashbacks. But it is important to note that the scene of Little Nung grabbing Folk's arm is played in slow motion and emphasizes the look that Little Nung gave her at the end. I think it's safe to say that Little Nung achieved her goal of hurting Big Nung, because this is taking up a lot of brain space right now.
I agree. She's definitely, I mean, she's been under Big Nung's skin since they first met. And now, because Big Nung has accepted her, all of her feelings, they're just, she's like so bothered by everything. And I think the other thing that this scene is trying to show, because Big Nung is replaying all of that over and over again, which has happened at the mall, I think it's trying to show us that Big Nung is finally thinking about how Little Nung feels when she sees Juan Viva cling to her. Because now she's like, I see her doing it with somebody else. I don't like this. I don't like how I feel right now. And I think that was the other thing that motivated her to be like, okay, Juan Viva, don't do this. Because, like I said, I don't think it ever bothered her because she doesn't feel anything for Juan Viva. Like, but the visual of Folk and Little Nung hurt so deeply, I think she finally has a reference so that she can empathize with Little Nung when Juan Viva does the same thing to her. So she's probably thinking like, well, damn, I really hurt her every time she saw me with Juan Viva. Or when she saw me be kind of like nonchalantly affectionate with Sam, but she didn't know who Sam was. And so I think she's like, wow, my sister was right. I'm a fucking idiot. Like, you know.
Big Nung's a visual learner.
Well, Big Nung is the type of person that like needs to experience something to empathize sometimes. Because she's just never, again, this is a person who never had feelings for other people, suddenly has them for the first time, so she has no reference for any of this. She's like, it doesn't mean anything when people cling to your arm. Juan Viva does it all the time. I feel nothing, so you should feel nothing too. But now suddenly, like, she has feelings, and she's like, I don't like when you do this with other people. Well, shit, like, how did you feel when this was happening with me? I didn't feel anything, but you felt. I think that's finally becoming apparent to her, and she's like, oh shit, like, because she never had feelings. So she didn't think that, like, Little Nung would have them, I think, is part of the problem. So.
That makes sense. Okay. So we then cut to Big Nung eating alone at her big table. Because apparently they do not own, like, a smaller table for her to eat at. And she's just pushing around her food in the bowl. It's very dramatic of her, but I get it.
Okay, first of all, hydrate for this outfit, because, sweet lesbian Jesus, this is one of her best outfits. It's the black button down that's open with the undershirt, like, Lord in heaven. Okay, wow. All right, at first when I saw this scene, I was like, why is this here? And then I think there's a reason for this short little scene other than just to be dramatic. So if you look at the room, okay, so yeah, it's the big, that is the dining room table. We've seen them eat at this table before. That is the dining room table. But it's just Nung, right? And to me, the way it's framed, you get like the length of that table, which looks very big, so it dwarfs Big Nung. There's nothing else on the table except her place setting, her sad little water glass in the pitcher. And to me, it looks very sterile. Like, it looks just like nothing is going on, right? Except Big Nung sadly eating her food. And I think it's supposed to emphasize how lonely Big Nung feels without Little Nung in her life, right? She's just alone in this big-ass house by herself, to eating meals by herself. And it just she looks so sad, right? And
also, everything in the screenshot that you have is very dull. Yeah. So her life is dull without her as well.
Exactly, yeah. It's what I mean. It's sterile, it's dull. Like, yeah, she's lonely. I think it's really trying to emphasize that. And I think she's having this, I think part of what's happening with her, she's having this realization that, like, she's going to be alone like this the rest of her life. And I think before, you know, when she was younger, she was content with that because that's the only life she ever knew. And she thought, like, well, if I'm by myself and I'm content with who I am, like, who cares? But now she's known Little Nung. She's known what happiness with somebody else looks like and what being in love is like for real. And so I think this is her struggling to accept, like, this is going to be my life. I have to go back to this. I don't want this anymore. You know? In this little scene, I think they're trying to show us that she doesn't like this loneliness thing anymore. She ain't a lone wolf no more.
She's a pack kind of gal. Then the phone rings. And she gets a phone call from Pingfa asking her if she's seen little Nung, because the grandmother called Pingfa saying that little Nung has not been coming home. And Big Nung tells her that she hasn't, and that little Nung is now addicted to her friends. So, like, I still don't understand the time, but whatever. Pingfa is only worried about if they are girls or boys. Her friends. But Big Nung is like, it is totally normal for someone to want to hang out with her friends when she goes to university. Again, she's an adult. She doesn't need her parents. That were never her parents. But she also tells Pingfa that Chet and her are keeping an eye on her. Oh, the horror. But really, it is a horror that Chet is involved. Only because he goes about everything the wrong way. Like, there is a way, because
he does.
At some point, it does seem like he cares, but he does everything the wrong way.
He should have read a parenting book.
Oh my gosh.
Or 10.
Do you think he'll try to write one?
No.
How to parent your child when you meet her for the first time at 21?
No. He should not be writing anything.
Then you see Big Nung get a determined, mischievous type face. I don't know, something's going on in that brain of hers.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about this scene with Pingfa, because I have questions. So, first of all, where the fuck is Pingfa in this scene? Because she's already gone back to America, but, like, the background of where she is so weird. It almost looks like she's in a train station / airport. But
she's in the Chicago airport.
But there's no other people in the building. That's a busy airport. So, like, it's just weird. Like, where is Pingfa? I just don't understand this scene. Okay, yeah. Again, important to note, in the book, at this point, when the Nungs have their falling out, it's like, I think it's 2 weeks before they see each other again. So, again, if she's getting these calls that little Nung is still not, she's back to the old pattern of not coming home at night, Big Nung is worried that little Nung this time for real has moved on. And even though, like, Big Nung's like, well, I guess that's really what's best for you, she's at the point where she's like, no, I want her for myself. And so I think that's part of her, like, mischievous face at the end. She's like, no, this needs to end, because what is this? I gotta find out more info. And she doesn't have the mob like Chet does. So what does she do, Kaitlynn?
Oh, this girl knows exactly what to do. She shows up to Little Nung's university just so she can interrogate Folk.
Her new bro.
Yes. Why she couldn't just call him, I don't know. Like, couldn't they have just...
I know. She could have called him. They have no... Sure.
Because later it does not seem like she was expecting to see Little Nung. So
no, she wasn't.
Okay.
She was going to see Folk.
This could have been an email.
Agreed. Well, I guess no paper trail. No phone logs, I guess.
Yeah. But you're in the middle... Whatever.
I don't get it.
Gone to a third location, whatever.
We could have gone back to the ice cream / boba shop where she interrogated him the first time.
That would have made sense. But
would it?
We needed the other drama. It's the drama of it all.
It's the drama of it all. Then we don't get this scene. But yeah, I agree. I don't know why she's physically here. They could have had this conversation on the phone.
Anyway, so she's asking Folk what Little Nung is up to, and she basically wants to make sure that Little Nung isn't going to nightclubs anymore. At least the sketchy ones.
Well, yeah, because she just found out she's not coming home again. She's like, crap, she's with those dudes. I thought, like, I got rid of them. Yeah.
And Folk says that those guys don't even approach Little Nung anymore, but he doesn't know why. And then we cut to Chet. Well, no, we don't actually. This is just my inner thoughts. Cut to Chet hiring the mob to intimidate them. And then this is when this is where I thought of my Kirk and Chet inherit the mob thing.
Okay, but, like, what actually happens is so much better than that, because it cuts to Chet consulting Big Nung, the suitor, and he's like, hey, Big Nung, if you were me, what would you do about these men? And she's like, get rid of them. And basically, she's the one who calls the mob hit on these boys. And then Chet does it. And Nueng's like, oh, fuck, Chet actually did it. So, like, this was her. She did this.
Yeah.
That's what I love. Like, ultimately, like, she's the one that got rid of the male suitors. That's some Anin shit. And I love it. I think the ghosts...
Oh my god.
I think the ghosts of the Bua Palace were, like, speaking to her in the scene, because this was at her house. And she's like, what would you...
I need someone to write this lesbian ghost Bua Palace fanfiction where, like, it's the present day, and those ghosts are just, like, talking to them and, like, manipulating situations, because I think that'd be hilarious.
That is absolutely what happened in the scene.
But Folk tells her that Little Nueng has become close to another friend, and Big Nueng is like, you mean you?
Oh my god, I love this. She turns on him. She's like, Ep1, Folk, how dare you? I thought we were bros.
Yeah, and she confronts him about the date he went on with Little Nueng the previous day at the mall. Because they couldn't just hang out, because, you know, she grabbed his arm.
She grabbed his arm, right? That was fucking suspicious.
But Folk's like, God, do not get on her bad side. Immediately is like, no, we are definitely just friends. And I went with her as a friend. He is definitely a Nueng shipper.
He is.
He's like, I'm not getting in the middle.
He is.
I just want to make sure she's safe. I'm fine with whatever's happening as long as she's treated right.
He's also like, I took so much shit for trying to help her, and it took me so long to become friends with her again because she was so pissed I brought you to the nightclub, and so, like, no, I would never risk that. It's fine. And Nueng's like, good.
But the tables now turn, because it's now Big Nueng's turn to be concerned if Little Nueng's new friend, or friend that she's getting close to, is a girl or a boy. Or a they, but we don't get a they.
I know, we don't get to
they.
But
I'm adding it. You know what? Progress. Because a boy she can handle, but a girl, Big Nueng does not do competition.
No, and I think Big Nueng knows with Little Nueng, women are the competition. I think the reason why she was getting rid of the men is because she was getting drunk at clubs and just going home with men. So that's bad situation where she could get pregnant or whatever. But, like, she knows that if Little Nueng is with a woman, that's actually serious, and that could be bad for her. That's moving on. That's actually moving on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So she's like, ah, fuck.
But she doesn't get to know the answer much. Like,
folks starting to tell her. And then a teacher friend shows up.
Yes. The professor interrupts this conversation. And Folk uses this as an excuse to immediately leave.
Yep.
Because he can handle if, like, Little Nueng's around, but no alone time with these people. And I don't blame you, Folk, because they keep pulling you into some shit.
I know. These must be adults. Run from them now.
The professor tells Big Nueng that they are looking for a special lecturer, and, you know, she will definitely be hired if she applies.
But why? What are her qualifications? I don't understand this conversation. This is so bizarre. Because wasn't Big Nueng the one who didn't complete her master's? Like, what are her qualifications other than she's rich and it has an ML title?
Yeah, I don't know what they would, because, like, they don't know about her art. They don't know her. They can't know her, right?
They're in the faculty of communication arts right now. What are her qualifications for being a guest lecturer? I genuinely want to know. Because this conversation is so random. And I wonder, like, okay, is it because she was, again, making donations to get Little Nueng? Because remember, she had to, like, do stuff to get Little Nueng into the school. So, like, is she just on their radar now and they're like, hey, big donor, you want to, what was this conversation? I don't understand. Who are guest lecturers? If you go to universities in Thailand, who are the guest lecturers? I'm just curious, because usually
all I could think about is, like, an art teacher.
She's not a successful artist. Like, I don't understand how she's qualified to be a guest lecturer on anything.
People would show up
That's what I think.
Title.
That's what I think it is. It's more like she would draw in a crowd potentially, but I was like, what is this conversation? Because usually guest lecturers, at least when I go to school, it's like an expert in the field would come talk to you. I'm like, oh, she's an expert in what? Like, what exactly is she, what are her qualifications? This is so random.
She's an expert in
saying fuck you grandmother. Like, what is her lecture going to be on? Anyway, I was just, if you understood the context of this, please let me know. I'm still confused by like why she got offered a job. I don't understand.
I don't know, but I don't get it. Big Nung says she's not really interested in it anyway.
Valid.
Because she doesn't like being tied down to a fixed schedule. And honestly, girl, I get it. Like, but also, could you imagine Big Nung having a 9-to-5 job?
No.
But like, at Sam's company.
No, because, I mean, yes, at Sam's company, because Sam doesn't work either. Sam just takes 4-hour lunches to go see Mon.
No, I would think that if Big Nung worked at Sam's company, Sam and Big Nung would take like 4 lunches a day, and there would be an office betting pool of whether or not either of them show up that day.
I think I still am a firm believer that Mon is running that company now, and Sam is just the trophy wife / name that signs the checks, because that bitch is the worst businesswoman ever. And yeah, exactly. If you brought Nung on, forget it. Like, nothing would ever get done at this company. Like, you'd be paying, like, a Nepo baby to just, like, show up and go to lunch with Sam. And Mom would be like, good, we can get some work done with Sam and Nung out of here. So, yeah.
I feel like when Mon inherited the company, she looked at the accounting stuff and was like, gosh darn it, Sam, what have you been doing?
Literally, Sam, what are you doing? Anyway, that would be a disaster. And imagine them lecturing. That would be hilarious, actually. Okay, I would love this. Like, what are your thoughts? And leave it in the comments. What would Sam be like as a guest lecturer? Should we just be like super weirdly blunt about stuff and like give all kinds of crazy advice? That'd be actually hilarious. I would love to
let your employees date unless you fall in love with your employee.
Number 1 rule: if you fall in love with one of them, you have to fire them so that you can then date. Oh my god, just Sam's advice would be insane. And like, I would love to actually hear that lecture.
Mom with her, and Mom would be like, "Shut up, Sam."
Yeah, there's like,
not listen to her.
Mom would cut the mic. She'd be like, "And we're done, everyone." That would be a disaster. I would actually love that. And the school would be like, "You're never welcome here again." That would actually be really funny. And then here comes Nung. Nung's advice would be like, "Well, if you don't like something, quit." Like, what is her advice to these students? It would be so disastrous. I think it would be really funny to get that scene.
They would have to ask, well, even Mom would be like, pick someone that you admire and figure out their path, and then do the exact same thing.
And walk that path.
And date them.
And date them. And marry them. And then get their money. And then take over the company. Anyway, yeah, that actually, Mon, good for you, Mon. Mon rose to the top. Anyway, that would be a disaster, having her guest lecture at all. So, anyway, this was a terrible idea.
It's a great tangent.
Speaking of things that are terrible, then what happens?
Yes. Little Nung and Yui get off the elevator together right in the middle of this conversation. And Big Nung becomes a sad puppy when she sees them holding hands.
Well, they're not holding hands until Little Nung spots Big Nung, and then she's like, uh-huh. Because what Little Nung is doing is she's dangling Yui in front of Big Nung. Because both of the Nungs know the only real competition is other women, which is why Juan Viva drove Little Nung crazy, and Chet bothered her, but she never provoked her to be upset. It was Juan Viva that made her really upset. And so she's like, woman, I'm holding this woman's hand. How do you like this, Big Nung? And Big Nung does not like it. She does not like it. Big Nung is not okay.
I really feel bad for Little Nung's friends because every time we see them together, she's using them.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
She deserves better.
Yui always looks confused.
Poor Yui. Yui's like, yeah. What? Folk at least, like, had a different story. Yui's, like, fully there to be used.
100%. It gets weirder later. So, like, to me, the read in this was, like, the way Yui looks at Little Nung was like, what are you doing? This is kind of weird, but okay. Like, that's my take on, like, Yui in this scene. But then when we get to the later scene, I'm like, what actually is going on here? Because it's implied that Lil Nung is staying with Yui. Like, they U-hauled already. And so, like, what is actually happening here? So, I don't know. But in the scene, Lil Nung is using Yui to make Big Nung jealous. And it works.
Okay, so Big Nung asked the professor if they could talk somewhere else because there are too many people around. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you look around, it's a terrible excuse because there are, like, exactly 2 people around Big Nung. And it's Yui and Little Nung.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a terrible excuse. But if you look at Big Nung, she's literally on the verge of tears. Like, she's about to start crying. And she's like, I need to get the fuck out of here right now, or I will start crying in front of this person that's weirdly trying to give me a job. So I love that the professor's like, oh, that's great, we'll go meet my boss. Like, what is this? Let's go meet my boss. And then, like, they get in the elevator to leave. And it just keeps going. So what happens, Kaitlynn?
Yui asks, who's that? She's really pretty. And honestly, I understand. Like, that is everybody's thought.
Again, that outfit she's wearing today. That is a top tier Big Nung lesbian outfit. Oh. It looks so good on her. I would also be like, who is this woman? Is she going to guest lecture? I will come to all of them. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip my stupid.
Yes, as you should.
All right.
You said that too. Okay, cool. So, yeah. So when Yui's like, wow, she's really hot. Little Nung. First of all, can't blame Yui. Yui's got eyes. And, like, look at her. But Little Nung just looks pissed. Like, she does this little pout and foot stomp when Yui says that. And I think she's, again, she's mad at Big Nung, obviously, hence the pettiness. But she's still possessive of Big Nung and does not like that this other queer is overtly checking out Nung in front of her. And so she's pissed off. And then she's also like, you're supposed to be my arm candy, not looking at my ex. Like, oh my god. It's just so messy and nobody else knows what's going on. And I love it. It's so funny. But yeah, Lil Nung is not happy about this at all.
But Big Nung is just like, there's too many emotions going around. So she goes to visit Sam and Mon because that is exactly where you should go when your lesbian heart is broken.
No, it is. When you're sad, you go visit your emotional support lesbians. That's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah. I mean, unless the happiness will make you sadder because...
I mean, sometimes Nung gets pissed off at them for being too cute. She gotta get them limes.
Yeah. Anyway, she is talking to them about the opportunity to be a special lecturer. Again, the lecture to be determined.
Right. Literally.
My favorite part of this scene, though, is when she asks Sam and Mon to imagine her fighting with kids these days. And I'm like, Big Nung, you're supposed to teach them, not fight with them.
Oh my god. But I would love a scene where Nung is fighting with kids. I think it would be hilarious to have her getting into arguments with younger adults. I think that would be really fucking funny, first of all.
They would just start be using, like, slang, and she'd be like, what are you saying?
Right, no, literally. Because she does it with Little Nung sometimes. She's like, what do these words mean? Yeah, it would be so funny. Yeah, it would be hilarious. It writes itself. So I actually kind of want... This lecture thing makes no sense, but I kind of want it the more we keep talking about it, because I think it would just be really funny to watch. Other thing I love in the scene is, I think this is a framing thing to get everybody in the scene, but I do love that Sam and Mon are, like, always on top of each other, basically, because it's so on brand. Like, Mon is basically, like, almost, like, sitting on top of Sam in this scene. It's just, because I think they all have to fit on the couch, but, like, it's cute. It's very Sam and Mon, and they're in their pink and their black color coding. It's so cute.
Well, they are one person, so they can't take up too much space.
No.
Sam tells Big Nung that she isn't the type of person that sits around all day and asks her if she's bored, which she definitely is, because, you know, she doesn't have much going on right now, especially with Little Nung not being in her life.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Big Nung tells them that it was a waste of time going against the Grand Mam. And she doesn't even know why she did it. I feel like time is passing.
Yeah.
she's reflecting on everything that has happened, and she's like, what was the point? Like, I was so hard-headed in what I thought. I mean, the Grandman was too, because they were literally the same person.
Yes.
So they both should feel like this, you know. Grandman haunting the palace feels like this. She probably doesn't, but, you know, she should. And Sam is actually helpful because she tells her that it's the past. It's in the past, and she should focus on the future. So if she's still staying in that thought of, oh, I shouldn't have done this and that, she's going to stay there. And then later, she's going to be thinking like, oh, why did I think about that then? It's going to be a downward spiral for her.
Yeah.
So just think to the future, change what you don't like to be better. And she also says that it's a shame that she rejected all her offers because she is so talented and it's a waste of her skills. Like, I love the support that Sam has.
Yeah, she's such a good sister. I love the point that you brought up that, like, Sam is trying to get her to think of the future again, because that kind of is the reason that Nueng rebelled in the first place, is because she wanted a different future than what was being, like, she's being forced into. And I think she, with the Grandman passing, and then also, like, all the stuff with Little Nueng, I think Big Nueng lost sight of that, of like, her future a little bit, because she's, like, stuck in all this drama. So it is really nice coming from Sam to be like, hey, like, stop focusing on the things you can't change and focus on the things you can control and what you can change. Like, it's a really healthy thing to say to somebody who's, like, kind of spiraling and getting stuck in a rut, you know? Sam should have been a therapist, maybe. I said maybe. A very specific kind of therapist.
Maybe Blake Sam, but Gap Sam?
Yeah, no, not Gap Sam. Gap Sam, absolutely not. Gap Sam shouldn't be able to talk to anybody, period.
Because I don't think that Sam has a filter. And that's what I think would get her in trouble as a therapist. Also, but again, we go back to the guest lecturer thing of what she would tell. Like, oh my god.
It would be hilarious to watch.
The opportunities for that would be endless as well.
Amazing.
Yeah. But Big Nueng admits that she wants to open a small gallery where artists can exhibit their work and she can do some art workshops. Big Nueng's like finally hoping for the future.
And I love when she's explaining this because Big Nueng perks up when she starts talking about the gallery. Like, she's excited about something. And when she starts describing it, it's really clear she's already put a lot of thought into this plan, which is really great. So it's not just something spur of the moment she's saying. She's, like, clearly thought about this. And I was like, yeah, it's really cute that she, like, kind of did figure it out. But I think she just temporarily lost sight of it with all the stuff that was kind of going on, you know?
I feel like she's been thinking about this gallery since the Grandmam gave her that sketchbook and stuff. And she started. I think that was always in the back of her mind.
I think you're right. And she just never had the financial means to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably thought it was a dream that she would never get to achieve because she, like, disowned her family and she had to go on her own. So she, I think for a while, accepted that she was only going to have that little shop. But now, like, her world has opened up. She's getting to do so much more and starting to realize that she can really have the life she wants, but not lose everything.
Yeah.
For it.
And I will say that this is a change from the book. So if you've read the book, you already know this. In the book, basically, one of her coping mechanisms is cooking, as we've kind of seen in the show. And so she actually ends up opening a catering business instead of a gallery. I like the change with the gallery because I think it makes more sense for Nueng, who's, like, loved art, and that was such a big fixture of her life, for her to, like, pursue something in that realm. So I like this change better than having her, like, getting into, like, cooking and stuff. Because, like, to me, the cooking in the show reads more like a family thing, a love language. It seems to have a different meaning versus, like, having it be the career. So I like that they kept the art
Cooking's
theme.
The hobby.
Yeah, or, like, it's, like, a way for her to show affection versus, like, art. you know, like, yeah, her drawing Little Nung, you can see that as a way of her showing affection, showing her feelings, things like that. But again, once you start monetizing things, it changes what it means for you to do it. So I do like this change a lot. I thought this made more sense for her as a career change, or career upgrade rather, than like stumbling into catering. So I like this change.
I like it too now that I know that was Sam, I think, is just excited that Big Nung is actually thinking about something else, and it has aspirations finally.
She's like, how can I help?
Sam's like, your wish is my command. I will find a place for you. How many floors do you want?
I love that question. How many floors do you want? Oh my god, Sam. Sam's so adorable.
And we don't get the answer about the floors, but Big Nung does want a spacious area with lots of white space. I read that as blank space.
I got a blank space, baby. And I'll write your name.
I'll write your name. So she basically wants a studio of her dreams where she can do everything she loves and teach people who actually want to be taught instead of people who are forced to be there. She says, I want to teach my students with passion. I don't want to force them. So I feel like maybe it was like teaching an art workshop. Maybe she mentioned like she donated money for like the art section in the university, unless she did mention that in the show.
No, it wasn't specifically. This is me theorizing that she made a donation to get Lil Nung into this.
Oh, school. You didn't even know? Okay. Well, we'll go with that. And I think that she brought up that she wants to go to the art students and like that too.
Yeah, that would make sense. That
course more. But even though, I guess maybe it was going to be like a general one. And so people, I don't know. Cause like if it's in university, most people would want to take it. So like you choose your classes. You're not supposed to be there.
Right. So that's why I thought this was weird. I was like,
yeah, I don't get this. I was trying to make sense of it all and it still doesn't make sense. So never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that Big Nung wants control is the thing. And she's like, well, if it's my class in my studio, I pick the students and I can control it.
And
exactly. I think that's really what it is.
I completely understand. Like, especially with her life, she has been free from a set schedule for so long. It's hard to like have to go back into that when she's an unstructured person. She doesn't like the being exactly.
She doesn't like being micromanaged, first of all. I don't think she likes being managed at all. And I think that stems back from her trauma with the grandmam, who was always controlling her and like her, acted like a boss in certain ways. I think she has trauma from that. And she's like, I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I want to be my own boss in all the ways. So, like, I don't think she would ever want to go to another facility where they tell her what to do. She doesn't want to be told what to do. She's like, I will do it on my own, my way, or I'm not doing it. Which is a very Nung thing. That's, I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Okay, so Sam. I love Sam. Sam wants Big Nung to succeed so much. So Sam tells her that she's going to invite her influencer friends to the opening to give them good reviews. So my question is, why wasn't T, Jim, and Kate there? Because those are her influencer friends.
Thank you. Sam brought no one to the actual opening, unless they showed up like an hour late. Like, because we saw the beginning, but like, yeah, that was my thought. I'm like, oh, we're going to get Jim and Kate and Sam's actual like influencer friends? She just brought Mon. I guess Mon's kind of an influencer now if she's successful at Diversity Bot, but like, I was expecting Sam's friends to be there.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Yes, it would have been hilarious.
Also, if it was the same actors for that, and it was just like, those are the people that were the same.
I mean, I'll take any crumb I could get of Jim. Could you imagine Jim meeting Little Nung who was drunk and wasted? Like, that would have been, because Jim also would be like, girl, I got rid of my baby. Let's drink. She'd be down for that. They could just, like, do drinking games in the corner.
I would have really been sad, though, if they had Jim and had a different actor, though, so.
I don't want that. If it's not him, I don't want it.
Like, yeah. No one else can play Jim.
No. Literally nobody.
Yeah. And if they do, we're not watching it.
I don't want it.
we'll probably watch it.
I will watch it, but I don't want it.
Yeah. And then Sam tells Big Nung that she is glad she'll finally be able to do what she likes. And I feel like this is such a moment of growth for everyone. Yes. They're really looking to the future. The Grand Mim isn't around to say no to anything. I just feel like they can all breathe in this moment.
Yes.
And really think about themselves. So, because we work fast, I'm assuming, unless months pass or weeks, who knows?
What is time? Who knows?
The next hour, because Sam has connections, Sam and Big Nung visit a potential location for this gallery.
Yep. They visit a blank space, if you will.
It's literally a blank space. Yeah. There's nothing.
There's nothing in there.
It is a square box with white walls and a white ceiling.
Yeah, and white floors. It is a blank space. Sort of the Janets today from The Good Place.
Love it. But for some reason, instead of keeping it about the gallery, you know, what they're supposed to be doing here, Sam asks Big Nung how her girl is doing.
How's your love life, Nung? And okay, what I do love in this conversation is that Big Nung doesn't bat an eye at that, your girl thing. And she doesn't tell Sam she's not my girl. She goes with it and accepts it because I think in her mind, Nung has already accepted that little Nung is her person. And so that is why she answers Sam the way she does in this scene. So I think that is significant. Versus like last time Sam brought up little Nung and was like, your girl. Little Nung's like, Big Nung's like, what? No, like, that child, get out of here. In this scene, she just rolls with it and does not... that is her form of... Nung accepts it at this point. She's like, yep, she's mine. But we're not talking and everything's fine, Sam. I'm like, yeah, what is this conversation, girl?
Yeah, she's like, we haven't talked in a while, but she just entered university, so she's spending more time with her friends instead.
You know, children.
Yeah. But Sam keeps provoking her, but conveniently, Big Nung gets a mysterious phone call once again and says she will be right there.
Okay. But can we talk about the way she answers the phone? Okay, anytime it's Chet or even Pinkfong, the way she answers the phone, she's just like, what? Like, it sounds like she does not want to be talking to them. And we have caller ID. She knows it's Chet. I just love the way she answers the phone. She's like, what? Like, no hello, no hi, Chet. It's just, what?
I just realized why Sam's there. It took all this time. At the end. In the next part.
Yeah, because they go straight from this to the next scene.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
I don't know why.
The cutting, I will get into that. The cutting of the next scene is weird. So, okay. So Chet calls and he's freaking the fuck out and he's like, you need to come to wherever we are right the fuck now. And Nung looks at Sam and she's like, oh fuck. So they get the fuck out of there. And then we cut over to Chet, who is interrogating Yui. And he's like... Sorry.
He asks one normalish question before going totally off the rails.
What was his normal question?
His normal question was... I don't remember it. I don't remember the question.
I don't remember, but anyway...
I don't know, but I know it was basically fairly normal.
He's interrogating her. Like, his tone is very aggressive. He's rapid fire asking her questions. And one of the questions is, are you a tomboy? Which is slang. Is my understanding that in Thai it's slang for lesbian. Which is what I learned from reading the novel. Which is interesting that that's like the slang, okay? That means lesbian. Because in English, tomboy means something else. It means, like a girl who's more masculine presenting. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with sexuality. Like, tomboys get associated with lesbians, but it's not slang for lesbian. So it's interesting that, like, that's the slang in Thai, but to an English speaker, I'm like, that means something different.
Okay, do you want to say the next thing?
Yeah, so, like, in this context, it's usually, like, a mask presenting lesbian in a lot of, so like if you go to Gap, like T would be considered like a Tom, like Tom is also like the shortened condensed version of that.
Apparently Tom and D are used to describe different gender presentations within the LGBTQ plus community in Thailand. So Tom is masculine presentation and D is feminine presentation.
That's interesting. I haven't heard the D slang. At least I haven't heard it. But it's interesting because, like, it does mean something different in English. And it seems like the words seem like they're connected to me, but they mean something technically different, which is interesting to me. But I love Yui's response. Yui's like, looks offended. And Yui's like, no, I'm not a tomboy. I'm queer.
I really wish it cut to Yui asking, are you a homophobe?
I mean, that'd be amazing. But you can't talk back to elders like that. Like, Yui's the outsider in this conversation. That would never happen. But in America, that would probably happen. Because we're disrespectful little fucks. So, okay. I also find this really, the language stuff I think find really interesting as, like, we're being exposed to this and, like, learning it. So I think it's interesting that, like, the tomboy thing is, like, it's Tom and it's kind of translated differently. But when Yui says queer, Yui says it in English. Like, the word queer is English, the way she says it. So I wonder, it makes me wonder if there isn't an equivalent word for this in the Thai language, and this is, like, a modern concept, like, that has gotten incorporated into the language, because, like, a lot of people outside of America speak multiple languages, and so I wonder if it's one of those things where, like, there is no equivalent, so we just use this word.
I did some research for this.
Okay, what you got?
So, according to my internet helper, there is a translation for this word. The pronunciation is adapted to fit Thai phonetic patterns, but retains much of the original sound, making it recognizable to English speakers. So, Yui is saying it in Thai.
Oh, interesting.
It just has the same sounding. It's just, like, manipulated a little bit to fit their speaking patterns.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, like, because the tone and, like, the emphasis is different.
And in our notes, I did put, like, the Thai translation for it, but
I wonder, like, was it a Thai originating word, or is it, like, is it an English word that was adapted into Thai language?
I did not look in that. It's most likely an English word adapted.
That is my assumption. It's one of those things I find fascinating because we, like, the use of the word queer in a positive way to, like, describe LGBTQ people is a modern thing. Like, modern in the last, like, 30 years. It's relatively new. Like, before that, it meant something completely different. So I find it really interesting, and I assume it's a modern kind of, like, concept that's being incorporated into the language. And it has a lot to do with the fact that, like, language is becoming more globalized because we can communicate with each other much more easily off of, like, social media and the internet and things like that. Whereas before, people would get siloed by, like, their, you know, communities, and, like, you know, language and word didn't travel as fast because you're doing mail and things like that. So it's interesting that I feel like, because there's other words in here too, like, later they use the word sapphic, which is, again, like, that there's a resurgence in that word in the last, like, 10 years. So, like, these words are getting incorporated into other cultures. It's very fascinating. I think it's just the globalization of language. I just find it really interesting.
Because of social media.
And the internet, really. But yeah, social media too. Anyway, so I find that fascinating. So anyway, so this label that Yui chooses to use confuses the fuck out of Chet, because he's old, like Nueng, and is like, he's like, but it's the same thing, like, queer, lesbian, whatever, same thing. And Yui and little Nueng both look at him, and Yui's like, no, it isn't. Like, this isn't that hard to understand. Like, they both judge the shit out of him. They're like, no, it's not the same thing, old man. What the fuck? And I hate that little Nueng has to put up with this bullshit from her estranged father she never asked for, you know what I mean? And is like, oh my god, my dad is such a loser. This scene.
Someone needs to get him a worst Father of the Year mug.
Literally, world's worst dad, and it goes to him. Jesus Christ. Okay, so while he's failing at interrogating Yui and looking like a complete asshole to his daughter, Nueng shows up. And here's where shit gets weird, because Big Nueng shows up at the table, and everybody at the table only greets Big Nueng. Okay? Because if you've seen the scene, you know Sam is also here. But you forget Sam's here because nobody acknowledges Sam until we get a hard cut to Sam. And you're like, why is Sam at this table? Because Sam drove Young, or they drove together, or whatever. But anyway, nobody acknowledges Sam.
In the wide shot, she's the only one that you see.
Correct. You also don't see Sam in the shot. But, like, Sam could just be trailing behind her. And then eventually Sam sits down, and nobody acknowledges Sam at all at this table. It's just Nung, okay? Which is really weird. So then it's weird when you're like, wait, why is Sam here? Anyway, it's one of my favorite scenes. I thought it was so funny the first time I watched it. I just started laughing because I was like, why is Sam suddenly at this table? Anyway, we'll get there. It's hilarious. So anyway, first we have to deal with the Nung situation. So little Nung is like, what the fuck are you doing here, Auntie Nung? Like, and she uses the language Auntie Nung, which I find odd. And Yui doesn't react to this because remember, this is the woman however many days or hours ago where Yui's like, that bitch is hot. And Little Nung says nothing. And now here's confirmation that, like, Little Nung and Big Nung are close to each other because she's calling her auntie. So, like, did she ever explain this to Yui off screen and be like, oh, I know that one? Because this was weird to just be like, oh, that's a hot woman from the other day. And then Little Nung's like, no, we're really close. I call her auntie. I thought that was weird. Like, poor Yui. Is Yui in the loop of any of this? Or, like, did Little Nung just, like, keep her in the dark? I just wonder, because, like, Yui doesn't react.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Again,
it's very weird.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's not explained in the book at all. I'm just wondering, like, did Little Nung explain anything? Because this was telling, the way she says her name implies a lot of things. Like, if Yui's out of the loop, then Yui's like, oh, okay, you guys are close? That's weird.
Everything's weird.
Everything's weird. Okay, anyway. So then Big Nung is like, because, like, Little Nung's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And Big Nung's like, fuck if I know. Your dad asked me to come here. I don't know. He called. I answered. Here we all are, I guess.
Yeah, and during this whole exchange, back to Yui. Poor Yui is experiencing what Folk has been dealing with for months. And is like, how did I get here?
Literally. Yui's like, what is happening? And, like, to go back to your point where, like, again, at the beginning of that other scene where we first met Yui, when Little Nung grabs Yui's hand, Yui looks confused as to why Little Nung's doing that. But then here is Yui patiently sitting through this interrogation thing with her dad, who's, again, treating her like a suitor that's trying to date her daughter. And then Little Nung uses language to be like, we're talking, we're dating. So, like, and Yui doesn't react. So, like, how much did Yui actually know going into this scene is a mystery. But, like, Yui's behavior makes me think that, like, they were kind of, like, talking or, like, on the verge of dating because Yui goes along with all of this. And they just met. So it's kind of, like, Folk would be, they've known each other longer, would pretend to be her boyfriend. But, like, I don't think Yui and Little Nung are that close to where Yui would pretend to date her and then take all this bullshit from her dad. Like, this seems genuine from Yui, which is weird.
We need to know more about Yui.
I agree. I feel like this character could have been really interesting, but, like, falls off the radar.
I think Jim and Yui need to have an excursion. And I was going to say that Jim is, like, a mentor to Yui, but I think it would be the other way around.
Yeah. No, Jim should not be mentoring anybody.
No.
No.
Could you imagine Jim as a special lecturer?
No. Oh
she
my God.
show up.
No. Jim would never show up. That'd be amazing. Anyway. All right. So Nung is, Big Nung turns up the charm to, like, from 0 to 100. And she starts interrogating Yui in a very different way than Chet was just doing. Okay. And then she's like, tell me about yourself. Yeah, how'd you guys meet and all this kind of stuff. And Little Nung gives her father and Big Nung these looks where she's like, can you guys stop meddling in my life? Like, here, like, poor Little Nung. She's like, I'm just trying to live my life and you messy adults fucking shit up. But she can't say anything and stop any of this from happening because her father's right there, who doesn't understand why she's pissed off Big Nung. So, unfortunately, Little Nung has to watch this nonsense kind of play out. And Big Nung's like, oh, are you guys friends? That's so cute. You guys look so good for each other. And then she, like, grabs Yui's hand on top of the table. And that's when Oh, no, sorry. Little Nung is like, okay, you want to play this game? I'll play this game. And that's when she grabs Yui. Sorry, there's a lot of grabbing of poor Yui. And this scene, Little Nung starts it. She grabs Yui's hand and she's like, we're more than friends. We're talking. And she starts, like, casting these, like, flirty glances towards Yui. And, like, trying to, like, taunt Big Nung, obviously. And again, Yui, it's so hard to read Yui in the scene because Yui, the way Yui looks back at Little Nung when she's doing this, it's almost like, what are you doing? Like, this scene is so weird from Yui's point of view. I would love to know what was going on.
Yui's mysterious in general.
Yes, I agree. But, like, how much was Yui into this situation is what I really want to know because I get mixed signals from Yui throughout all of this. But she goes along with it, which is the weird part. So, I don't know. But anyway, so Big Nung is watching this and he's like, okay, Little Nung, you're flirting in front of me and I hate this. So let me give you a taste of your own medicine to see if this relationship with Yui is even real. Because I think Big Nung's like, I don't believe this for a second. So let me flip the script for you. And so then she starts poking at this situationship that Little Nung is presenting by asking more questions. And she's like, okay, Little Nung, how have you been? Because we haven't seen each other in a while, and I don't like what I'm seeing right now. And Little Nung is just taunting Big Nung. She's answering in ways that are meant to make Big Nung jealous, which Big Nung is, but she is stoic about it. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I have Yui who does everything for me now. And Big Nung is just sitting with that and stewing and is super pissed off. And so what I do like about this scene from Big Nung's perspective is she does validate this situationship between Little Nung and Yui, okay? Because in front of Chet, where she's like, listen, if you guys want to date, I think that's great, okay? She's not, because again, Chet called her there to be like, make this stop. And she's like, no, you guys seem happy or whatever. And like, just, be good students and do things in front of your parents, like court properly and that kind of stuff. So I love that she validates Little Nung's choice to date whoever she wants in front of her homophobic father. So I do love that she does do that.
Doing so, she's telling Chet that, first of all, he's wrong.
Which he is.
And second of all, that it's okay.
Yeah. She, again, and even though she doesn't like this situation, she's supporting Little Nung, which I think is important.
Also, I think it's like she needed him to know that. Ah, shit. The thought went.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
But I love this advice though. Again, the advice, like, as long as you're together, like, study hard, do things in front of your parents. I love this advice because her and Little Nung are 100% not doing any of that. So, like, I love the advice that she's also not taking with Little Nung. It's just hilarious to me because Big Nung, oh my god, you're such a mess. Okay. And then Yui starts complimenting Little Nung because being a good friend or whatever the hell Yui is in this situation. And Big Nung is like, oh, hell no. So she gets infuriated by this, I think, and she starts taking things further. And that's when she grabs Yui's hand and then starts flirting with Yui a little bit, which is absurd because this is a woman who's even younger than Little Nung.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm laughing because I went down a rabbit hole because of this. Well, I was doing research with my good buddy ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was not happy with my line of questioning. Like, I'm pretty sure that the government might be after me at this point.
Probably.
So, people kept telling us that you are an adult at 20, so like you can...
In Thailand.
Yeah, in Thailand, making your own decision. Oh my god. Decisions. So, I wanted to figure out what the consequences of being with someone younger, and Yui would be only 18, maybe 19 at this point. So, in Thailand, you are an adult at 18, just like in America.
Like legally considered an adult, right? That's what we mean. Legally considered an adult. Yes.
But the age of consent is 15. Damn. Which means Big Nung could date a 15-year-old if they consented.
Oh God, don't do that. But that's terrible.
Whether it is socially acceptable is a different story. That is
right.
a big
okay.
thing. Like, that it would not be acceptable socially. But it is legal.
Okay. So in America, if you're not from America,
Yes.
which is where we're coming from, the age of consent legally and legal adulthood is 18.
Well, you would think. It is not, actually.
I hate
This is a state by state.
I know. They have child marriages and shit. It's so fucked up in America.
So I, again, also assumed it was 18 because that's a common thing. Like, if you are over 18, you cannot date someone younger than 18. I just found out that that is not true. Yeah. The age of consent is 16 for 31 states.
That's fucked up.
It's 17 for 6 states and 18 for 13 states. So in most states, you can date a 16-year-old.
That's disgusting.
I thought like maybe 18 was the most states, but no.
See, okay, that's still age of consent, but like legally, you're an adult at 18. So like,
yeah,
you're allowed to have sex with children. That's really fucked up, like from a legal personhood perspective.
Like, I'm pretty sure this is what I understand. Like, I asked ChatGPT many ways, all these different questions. I also tried to figure out like what happens if there was like a big age gap and you're under like the ChatGPT.
Oh, Kaitlynn, you are for sure on the government's radar right now.
Because like ChatGPT literally deleted my response and its response. Okay, yeah, it was like
you're in trouble.
Thing.
I'm sure you have FBI agents watching this podcast. And I need it for research.
But doing it, I was like, "Thank you for helping me with my research for a research paper."
Okay, make it even more suspicious. Oh my God, Kaitlynn.
But I was like just trying to make sure that like we didn't say anything wrong in this.
No,
because again, you went into saying that it was 18. I'm like, no.
Apparently it's not.
I didn't know either.
Damn, I hate America.
But with all this said, Big Nung is still manipulating Yui.
Absolutely.
So no matter how you look at it, no matter how old anybody is, it's wrong.
You know what we keep doing on the show? We keep doing monkey in the middle, but it's like these unsuspecting young adults. Like, Yui's in the middle in this scene. Folk gets put in the middle quite a bit. It's Yui in the middle. Anyway. Yui in the middle. So, okay, so we're at the scene where Big Nung is openly trying to shoot her shot with Yui to piss off Little Nung. And it works, because Little Nung starts getting more visibly upset by this. But what I love is that all the sapphic flirting completely goes over Chet's head. He's just stewing. He's like, oh man, I can't believe Nung is condoning this. Meanwhile, Nung is openly flirting in front of him, and he just, all of it, above his head. He doesn't know what's going on. But you know who at this table does know exactly what's going on? Sam. Because then we hard cut to Sam. And again, the first time I watched this, I didn't know Sam was at this table, and I just thought it was so fun, because nobody acknowledges Sam at all in this conversation. Nobody looks at Sam, nobody talks to Sam, nothing, so you wouldn't know she's even here, and the way the camera frames everybody, you would never know Sam is here. So I love the hard cut to Sam, because it's jarring. You don't even know she's there.
We only get the one cut, and it's just her looking at the parties, and it's so
funny. Because to me, Sam doesn't say anything, but her face says, thank God it's not my messy gay drama. For once, I get to watch my sister's gay drama, and it's so much worse.
Okay, so during our reaction video, something that I haven't forgotten about, probably because I edited it, it was, you made a comment how it's funny because no one at this table is thinking the same thing.
No.
So my question is, what is everyone thinking?
Do you have it on the fly?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so on the fly, what is everybody? Yeah, that's a great point. Nobody's thinking the same thing. So except Big Nung and Little Nung are actually kind of the closest, but nobody else is on the same page. So Big Nung is like, I'm going to see how real your feelings are, Little Nung. Let me just touch your little girlfriend's hand. And Little Nung is like, how dare you flirt with anybody in front of me? You've never flirted with anyone ever. I'm so pissed off right now. And Yui's like, the hot woman is touching my hand. Oh my God, the hot woman is touching my hand. Oh my, that's literally on a loop in her brain. Chet is watching this and Chet is going, God damn it. No, you're supposed to stop this and you're encouraging this. What the fuck? And Sam is just like, my sister-in-law is a mess. My sister-in-law is a mess. What do you got, Kayla?
Right. So my thing is, Big Nung is thinking, it's the perfect idea to seduce a younger student to make my young ex-girlfriend jealous. Little Nung is thinking, bitch, get your paws off Yui. Those hands are mine only. Chet's thinking, my daughter can't be a tomboy. Wait a minute. What is Big Nung doing? Yui's thinking, what is happening?
Why?
And Sam is thinking, why am I here?
Why is Sam here? No, that's not true. Sam is, why am I here?
It's like I keep getting dragged to these places.
I just love it. Sam is like, for once, it's not my gay drama. So anyway, Chet is mad because Big Nung is not on his side. So he huffs away and Big Nung follows him for a quick sidebar. And when they leave the vicinity, we, again, have a table where it's Sam, that no one's acknowledged, Yui, who just got kind of felt up by Big Nung, is confused, and then Little Nung. And Little Nung starts visibly pouting in front of Sam, okay? And she's pissed off because of Nung. And, like, I think Sam is the only one reading the room for what's actually happening here. And I want to know what these three queers were doing while Nung and Chet were off screen. Okay? Because as we've established, Sam isn't comfortable around children. So I feel like this was awkward as fuck for quite some time. And eventually, I think Sam was awkward and was trying to talk to them, probably. And I think she eventually excuses herself because she's awkward around children. And she volunteers to buy people drinks, which is why, like, when we cut back, everybody, including Chet, who isn't there, suddenly has a drink. I think Sam went and bought drinks off screen because she didn't know what to do with herself. And so they come back, and then they're like, where's Chet? And Sung's like, I don't know, he left. And he had a drink sitting there. I think Sam did this off screen because she was awkward around the children.
Okay, that's fair.
Because seriously, what was this? What was the three of them doing?
I was thinking that maybe Little Nung was just too much in her head, so she was sitting there not talking. So it was just Yui and Sam staring at each other.
That's even worse!
And so Sam's like, so you're queer. And Yui's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And Sam goes, I have a wife.
Yeah, I think Sam was just awkward, because Sam is awkward. I think, and probably Sam was launching into inappropriate stories about Mon, about how when they started dating, it was how much of a mess it was.
Have you ever watched Animal Planet?
Right. Don't watch Animal Planet. Anyway, yeah, I think Sam was awkward, and then eventually they went and got drinks or something. Yui and Sam were probably like, let's go get drinks for everybody, like, just to shut up Sam for being weird.
Like, Little Nung. Nung.
She's spaced out.
Nung.
She's mad at
come?
Nung. Yeah.
Nung.
No?
Let's just leave her.
I'll just go. Yeah. Literally. Okay. So while that, I wish we had that scene. While that awkward as fuck shit was happening off screen with the queers, Chet and Nung are having a sidebar. And Chet is pissed because in his mind, Big Nung betrayed him because she validated Little Nung's decision to date a woman. And then Big Nung, to me, brings up the most valid point, period, where she's like, why are you so hell-bent on her dating a man? If she ends up dating a man, she could end up in the same situation as you and Pingfa. Would you rather that play out versus her dating Yui, where that couldn't happen? And he's like, shut up, Nung, shut up. And she's like, listen, you should consider all the possibilities and all the facts before you start judging her.
Because his actions were 10 times worse.
Right. This is like pot calling the kettle black. And she's like, what the hell, Chad? Do you remember who you were? And he's like, shut up, Nung. So, bottom line of this conversation is he cannot accept that his daughter is gay. And Big Nung, even though she's on the outs with Little Nung, is defending Little Nung and standing up for her choice. And says, like, listen, I will proudly support her no matter who she chooses to date. Because it's her life. She should get to choose what she wants to do. Okay? And Big Nung's like, I'm going to support her through that. And then basically Big Nung tells him to stop controlling her. Listen, we had the prior scene where you're like, I'm going to be more accepting and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what you're doing is the complete opposite of that. Like, you don't clearly don't respect her. Like, why don't you try actually getting to know her and then, like, respecting her choices instead of trying to control her and manipulate her into things? Because again, nobody in Little Nung's family seems to understand this mysterious code that Big Nung has cracked, which is why she keeps getting roped into this, where like you should treat Little Nung like a human being, and they're always like, Big Nung, use your magical influence of listening to our family member, and it's insane. And then they're like, okay, listen to her, and then get her to do what we want her to do. And it's like, I love that Big Nung is like, fuck no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be the pawn of manipulation so you can control her. And she's like, I'm tired of being your middleman. And this is where she draws the line. She's like, for this, I will absolutely not help you, because why don't you go tell your daughter yourself that you're a big giant homophobe? Like, don't make me do it. I support her. I think she should be able to do that. Like, I respect her decision as a fucking adult, Chet. He was such a giant baby in this scene. It's so annoying.
No, he's a baby in every scene.
He is.
He is a baby who cries when he doesn't get his own way.
Yes. He's a privileged man. Literally. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I love Big Nung. I love many things about her. She did the one despicable thing she deserves judgment for. But like the fact that she always defends Little Nung when Little Nung is not capable of doing it, even when they're on the outs. Like, I love that she does that. And I love that this is where she's like, absolutely not, Chad. I will absolutely not do this. I will not help you with this. It's her life. Let her figure her shit out. And respect her. Like, stop trying to control her.
99% of the time, Big Nung is good to Little Nung.
Agreed. And Chet, being the crybaby man-child that he is, could not accept any of this. So he fucks off and leaves. Because then he's just pissed off. And he's like, wow, you won't help me. You won't give me what I want, Nung. Fuck you. And he leaves. So then we go back to the original table where Sam awkwardly bought everybody drinks because she didn't know what to do. And so I also think this was Sam because money. Sam's always like, money. How can I make money make this better? So she bought everybody drinks, including Chet, who fucked off. And so the queers have a talk, right? And before we get into this, let's talk about the body language of this scene, okay? So in the wide shot, you can actually see Sam now awkwardly at this table. So let's talk about this. Sam is the outsider because of the way she's far away from the action, right? And if you look at the rest of the table, Little Nung is opposite Sam on the edge of the table. Then Yui is next to Little Nung, okay, which is where they were sitting before. But now Big Nung is sitting super close to Yui, okay? Because Big Nung is going to pick up right where she left off because I don't think she believes Little Nung at all. So she jumps right back into flirting with Yui. Okay, and asks about... And then Yui's like, okay, you're paying attention to me. Let's see how cool this is. And she starts asking the thing that Little Nung did. She's like, how old are you? Like, let's get into the ages of all of this. Okay, and then, as we've established, Yui is younger than Little Nung, okay? And we play the game. Well, but actually, Big Nung doesn't really play the game. She's like, I'm 36. Like, she's frank about her age. And Yui's like, oh my god, I thought you were 20 or whatever. Because again, ageless millennial that she is. And I love this look that I love this where she realizes that Yui is younger, right? And Big Nung gives Little Nung this look where she's like, okay, a younger woman? I know that's not your type. So I know this isn't real. You're into older, messy bitches. Okay, so, but when they have this conversation about the ages, like, it's basically reminiscent of, like, when Big Nung and Little Nung had this first conversation. But Big Nung turns it into flirting, which is something she did not do with Little Nung. Because Little Nung tried to turn it into flirting, remember? Where she's like, eat what, Big Nung? You know, that whole conversation. And Big Nung shut her down. In this conversation, Big Nung turns it into flirting, and I think this pisses off Little Nung a lot. Because she's like, damn, you could have been flirting with me this whole time and you chose not to, you damn bitch. So anyway, we get into the age of it all. And what Yui says is like, oh, you're more like a sister than an auntie, meaning like a younger woman versus an older woman. And Big Nung is like, well, if you think that I'm like a sister, you can call me sister. Like using a different prefix in front of my name. And then it cuts to Little Nung, who... She opens her mouth a few times like she's going to argue this point because I think that this really pissed her off because this is an intimacy thing, right? Because Little Nung felt special that she could call Big Nung Auntie Nung, indicating that they're close, but there's still an age gap that separates them, right? With that kind of language. But by Nung saying Yui has permission to call her like P Nung, basically, to say she's sister, I think that's even more special because it indicates they're even closer now in age as well. And I think that's more intimate, and that pissed off little Nung. She's like, wow, you won't even let me call you that. That's fucked up. And look at all the things we did. So little Nung, I think, is livid that Big Nung volunteered this, because remember, we get the flashback at the end of like where the Auntie Nung thing came from. It came from little Nung insisting that that's what she's going to call her, right? Not Big Nung volunteering it. So I think that also pisses her off. So little Nung snaps, and she slams her hands on the table and abruptly stands up because she's just her feelings are so big, she's just pissed off. And Big Nung has the audacity to play it cool in the scene and be like, wow, little Nung, how could you be so rude? Why would you do something like this? And little Nung's like, if I'm not lovable, don't fucking love me. And then she just leaves. She's so mad. And Yui's sitting there for a second like, do I stay and see whatever this nonsense is about? Do I go after little Nung? I'm going to go after little Nung because you guys are weird. And then she like runs after little Nung, which is a good choice because these adults are a lot, okay? And I'm glad you left because the scene between Sam and Nung is hilarious. So once the sisters are alone, Sam scoots closer to Big Nung, okay? And then she's like, Sam was like, well, that was terrifying. She's like, please don't ever try to seduce Mon away from me. I promise I'll be the best sister ever. Please don't ever do that to me. That was terrifying. And Nung is like, what the fuck are you talking about, Sam? Because, again, Nung is just blinders on, okay? She probably forgot Sam was there, too. And Sam was like, let's be honest. And Sam was like, were we not at the same conversation? You were just jealous as fuck and scarier. And you're scarier than the Grandman when you're jealous. So, and it was clear to anybody with eyeballs that you were flirting with the youngest woman at the table right now.
I mean, what was that? Like, Big Nung, come on now.
I know. This was a hot mess.
Did the ghost possess you? Maybe the lesbian ghost went with her and she was possessed.
I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a nin.
Sam's like, aren't you... Like, you were just openly flirting with another woman in front of your girl. Aren't you worried that that's going to start a fight with little Nung? And that's exactly what Big Nung was trying to do, because now they're in this stage where they're playing games with each other, and, like, I think Big Nung's like, you want to... Because that's what little Nung wants. She wants her to be jealous and, like, do all these things, so she's like, okay, let me lean into that. So she was trying to provoke little Nung into a fight, because that would prove, if little Nung responds to it, that she still cares, and she didn't reset her feelings, and this whole thing with Yui's posturing nonsense. So when Sam asks her this question, Big Nung says, I will find out tonight if she shows up at the palace to fight me. Which is exactly what happened. So then we go back to the Bua Palace, and Big Nung, in her big, lovely kitchen, is making curry, okay? So she's cooking in anticipation of this. Because she's pulling out all the stops. She's like, I did the jealous thing. I'm going to make food because that's how I like to express love. We're going to have a conversation. It's going to be great. And also, like, I love that Big Nung is happily, like, in this big kitchen cooking, because I think she genuinely likes to do it. It's really sweet.
This is Big Nung math. Jealousy plus food equals love.
Correct. Okay. And then she's doing her thing in the kitchen, and Auntie Nim's like, hey, you got a visitor. And so little Nung shows up unannounced, as predicted, to the palace. Big Nung's like, perfect. She's like, Auntie Nim, you don't need to see any of this. How about you take care of the food, and I'll take my guest outside. And so this is why this is the Bua Palace, because if you notice where they go, it's the Lily Pond, or the Lotus Pond, which is like how this place gets its name. So like this is the... That's why I'm going to keep calling it that. Okay, so then they go outside, far from the eavesdropping of the staff, to have this private chat. And in this chat, each Nung is trying to provoke the other one into admitting that they care. But both of them are stubborn as fuck, so it takes a hot minute before we get there. Okay, so let's get into this. So the first person to talk is little Nung, and the first thing out of her mouth isn't hello, it's not how are you, It's why in the name of lesbian Jesus were you flirting with another woman in front of me again?
Okay, little Nung, it's not that hard to figure out why.
I mean, to her it kind of is. So Big Nung plays dumb, and she's like, really? Is that what I was doing? I was flirting? And Little Nung demands to know why, because she's never seen Big Nung pay attention to anyone that wasn't her, let alone flirt with anybody. Because the whole premise of Big Nung, the character, is that she's never actually been interested romantically in anybody ever. So this is weird behavior for Little Nung, who knows that about her, to see her doing. So she's like, what the hell? What changed? Like, what happened? And what she's worried about is like, did your feelings for me actually change? So she's actually genuinely worried, not thinking, oh, you're posturing and this is bullshit. Because Big Nung has never engaged in jealous behavior before, so like, I don't think Little Nung even thought about that. But Big Nung's playing the long game, so she sticks to her coyness and she says, well, maybe I have flirted with other women, just not in front of you. And I'm pretty sure this gave Little Nung war flashbacks to Dr. Juan Viva, and she's like, Big Nung.
Juan Viva will always be enemy number one.
I think she will always hate Juan Viva on some level. We get there later with Juan Viva, but yeah, no, that's accurate. Just because she has PTSD with Juan Viva. So Big Nung takes it a step further when Little Nung doesn't really engage in this. She's like, well, you know, if I was flirting, so be it. But personally, I think Yui's cute. And Little Nung takes the bait of this and gets all confident. She's like, well, too bad, because Yui likes me. We're the ones talking right now. How do you feel about that, huh? Another woman likes me. A queer woman, too, so she's an option.
That is the key.
That is the key. Big Nung. And Big Nung's like, well, I don't know if you saw the way she was looking at me, but like, come on now. So we'll see who she really likes soon enough.
Can you blame Yui, though?
Right. I think this is why Little Nung's pissed. She's like, damn it. Like, who wouldn't be in love with you? This is some bullshit. But, Little Nung does call bullshit on this. She's like, I don't think you really like you. I think this is some bullshit. But, you know, because she knows, you know, Big Nung isn't, like, into other people. And Big Nung, again, she's trying to get the conversation where she wants it to go. So she's like, oh, so you think you know me that well, huh? And Little Nung's like, yeah, I do, you big old meanie.
But if Big Nung actually liked Yui or someone else, she would not be that upfront about it.
No.
That was the key tell in this scenario. Because she was openly flirting, which she would try to shove feelings down.
But Little Nung's in her jealousy, and she's not being rational. She's just upset and showing her whole hand in this scene, which is what Big Nung was trying to get her to do. After she gets called a meanie, Big Nung's like, fair. And thankfully, this conversation then transitions to exactly where Big Nung wants it to go. And Little Nung is very in her feels right now, and you're right, she's not thinking logically. She's just in them and cannot hold them back. So her real feelings come out in the form of words, where she earnestly asks Big Nung, she's like, why are you intentionally hurting my feelings, especially after what we did? And then she trails off, okay? Because this is what Big Nung was trying to get her to admit. And Big Nung pounces. She's like, what did we do? Say it. Because Big Nung is trying to get Little Nung to admit that she did not reset her feelings after they hooked up again. She's trying to get Little Nung to admit that she's not pretending like nothing happened. She's trying to get Little Nung to admit that she wants their relationship to also move forward. So that's why she's trying to trap her into this and be like, what did we do? No, seriously, what did we do? Okay? Because Little Nung realizes the trap she just walked into, and she doesn't answer the question. And then Big Nung's like, okay, enough of the games. And she steps up and then says, there's something real happening with us, okay? That I don't think we can ignore anymore. And Little Nung leaves her unread and then, like, sulks by the lotus pond. Because she's upset that Big Nung's about to win the argument. She's like, why can't I ever have the upper hand and just win and get you to admit your feelings and all this shit? Why do I always lose these arguments? Which is valid, like, poor thing. Because, like, you know, she's been through hell with Big Nung because these sisters are menaces to society. And she deserves vindication. No, she really does. Right? So she's like, you're so unfair. You always know I lose these arguments to you. Like, it's annoying, right? So Big Nung gives in. Okay, she does it. She gives the mouse a cookie in the scene. Okay, because Little Nung's like, you don't even like, she's like, you don't even care that I'm dating other people. Like, none of this. And so Big Nung gives her a cookie, right? Where she basically says, how do you know I wasn't jealous? How did you know I didn't feel anything? Right? So she admits to Little Nung basically in the scene that she was jealous. Okay, that's why she was doing what she was doing. And that admission alone is all the evidence Little Nung needs to secure her victory. She's like, okay, so I did win. You were jealous. That's where you're being weird. Great. My master plan of getting under your skin and making you admit you care about me and having you do possessive shit worked. That's what Little Nung has just always wanted, okay? And so she has this big ass smile on her face. And I love when Big Nung's like, stop smiling. Like, how dare you? You won the argument. Okay. And now that we've come this far, before they go back inside and continue this conversation, we need to address something, which is that Big Nung is Cinderella. Okay? And I'm going to share something with you guys to explain what I mean. And if I can get this on YouTube, I will put it on YouTube. But I'm not confident, okay? And what I mean by she's Cinderella is that Big Nung has a bird friend that follows her around this episode, and it's one of those things that once you see it / hear it, you cannot unhear it, and it bothers me every time.
I didn't know if you were actually going to play it or if it was like an editing thing, so I did listen to it while you were talking, and I was trying so hard not to laugh my ass off.
Oh, no, wait, it's better, because I edited the bird and the scenes, so you'll see it.
Oh, you did something.
I did something, so I'm trying to get my screen to share, so... Okay, it's a picture of what's called an Asian coal. That's the technical name. I think locals call it an uwu. It's UWU, is like the slang for this bird. It's basically a big black bird with red eyes. And from when I was looking this up, people describe it as the most annoying bird, okay? Because it just screams in trees, basically. And you'll see this, and I picked up this sound because it's very distinct, and I was like, what is this bird? Because the Foley team fell asleep during this season. I'm pretty sure. That's how we get all this ASMR stuff, and then, like, the birds, which, like, honestly, as somebody who grew up in a tropical environment, you can't escape annoying birds. Like, in buildings, you can just hear them. So, honestly, this is very realistic.
I need to interrupt real quick, because I need everyone listening and watching right now to know that Theora loves birds.
I do. I love birds.
She has a bird app on her phone to figure out what bird sound is what bird. And I love it. So, I just wanted people to know that.
Yeah, it's called Merlin. And, like, I tried to use it to figure this out, and it wouldn't work off of the audio. So I had to, like, figure this out by the sound and then research birds and find it to figure the bird out. Because it was driving me crazy. I'm like, what is this sound? Anyway, so it's a really annoying bird. And it shows up a lot, but I think it's, like, realistic. And so there are some scenes I'm going to show where, like, at night you can hear the bird, and I was like, are they filming during the day? But then as I researched the bird, like, this thing will start screaming in the middle of the night. So actually, like, who knows? Like, it's so annoying. So,
oh my gosh.
If you're listening at home, and you're not watching this, I'm going to play a clip of the bird, 2 different calls that you hear during the show, okay? It's like, it's regular call is the first one we're going to hear, and then the second call is its, like, territorial call. And then I'm going to play the scenes in this episode where you hear this bird screaming, okay? And I did my best to enhance it. But it's one of those things, once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. And I hear the bird distracts me every time I watch this episode, so.
Damn it, Theora.
Here we go.
แล้วอีกอย่างอันหนึ่งก็สนิทกับคุณหนึ่งมากกว่าฟ้าด้วยหรือว่าผมควรจะเป็นที่ปรึกษาให้ลูก
ยังไงอันหนึ่งไม่แฟร์เลยอ่ะดูทั้งรู้ว่าเขาไม่มีทางชนะทำไมไม่หึงเขาบ้างอ่ะถ้าเขาหายไปควงใคร อันหนึ่งก็ไม่รู้สึกอะไรเลยใช่ปะ
This is the second call.
มันได้ผลไหมอะ
ใช่ไหมคะ
There's so much birds.
You hear it though?
พ่อล่ะคะ
อ๋อกลับไปทำธุระแล้วน่ะ
I want to know if these
How come
birds
it's
were
on
there though, because they
Okay.
don't show up in the
No,
first
they're
season.
Okay. Alright. So, you're welcome. The Asian coal ruins these scenes for me. Thoughts? You'll never be able to watch this the same, because, like, I cannot not hear that bird when I watch these scenes.
I mean, so the video that she put in the link, and that starts this video that she showed, is 3.5 minutes long of this bird screaming. And there's one point where it's just like, over and over. It's just...
Yeah. It just... So it makes
so angry, dude!
It just makes those two sounds, and then, like, the thing about this bird is that it's a terrible bird. Basically what it does is it, like, takes over other birds' nests and, like, kicks its babies out and drops its babies. Terrible. It's like Chet. Terrible parenting.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so what it does, it's famously one of those birds you hear but don't see often because it's trying to hide because it takes over other birds' nests. So you just hear it screaming constantly and then don't see it. And then the second noise it makes is more of a territory. And the sound up front sounds slightly differently than what you hear in the show, and it's because when they're further away, it sounds different than when you're, like, up close to them. So, like, that second noise, like, it's constant in the show. Like, that one conversation they're having in part 2 where they're having the conversation in Nung's bedroom, that bird will not shut up during that fucking scene. Oh my god. It's so funny. But I like the second one where...
Did we hear birds in the first season?
No, you do not hear the birds in the first season. The second season, there's a lot of birds. But, like, I wonder if it's because they filmed on this property, like the Boa Palace, because it's, like, a wooded area, and there's probably more birds versus, like, if you were to film maybe in, like, I don't know, a warehouse that's not near trees, you probably wouldn't hear them as much. It's probably locations, because they definitely shot in different locations. So this, if they were actually shooting at the Boa Palace, that's a wooded area. So, like, there would be fucking birds everywhere. They're just outside in the Boa Palace gardens. So there's birds. Like, you can't cut them out. Like, there's so many birds. But anyway, so if you never noticed that particular bird, you're welcome, or I'm sorry, because, like, I cannot not hear that bird. It makes me laugh every time I hear it when they're trying to have these conversations.
They're so loud.
So that's the Asian coal. There's other birds, I just don't have time to identify with them. Okay, my favorite bird shows up in the next episode, and I will point it out when we get there. Alright, so anyway. Cinderella and her girlfriend go inside. And Big Nung dismisses Auntie Nim so they can eat alone together. And then Gentlewoman Nung comes out because she, like, pulls the chair out for little Nung and, like, pushes the chair in, and it's very cute and chivalrous and stuff. And she's doing all the things to show she's genuine in her affection and intentions, which is very sweet.
I think that this is the first time that they can be happy and in a relationship. And it's just very sweet to see them together. Like, all the times before this, it was a will they, won't they? Or let me do something to you while you aren't in the right mind. So this is the first time that they have both achieved what they want. This is the beginning.
Yes. So what you were saying earlier, Kaitlynn, why can't they just be happy? Here they are. They got there. It's a process, right? And again, Big Nung is just the chivalrous gentlewoman the entire time. So the meal starts when Big Nung gives Little Nung the food so that Little Nung can have the first taste, which again is like an expression of her affection and that kind of stuff. And then she asks Little Nung, as she's like eating the shrimp or whatever, how it tastes. And she's watching her the entire time. Like, remember when she made her the spaghetti carbonara and she's like watching for Little Nung's reaction? Like, she's doing the same thing and it's adorable.
Oh, you had to bring that one up again. Oh, I want that so bad.
And Little Nung admits, after taking the first bite, that it's delicious, which makes Big Nung really, really happy. And she explains to Little Nung, she's like, listen, like, I'm old. I can't just be like walking around in a jealous rage constantly. I don't have the energy for that. You've met me. But what she says it in the book too, is she's somebody who likes to she's an action person, not necessarily a verbal person when it comes to showing affection. She prefers to do things to show and put effort into somebody. So she explains that. She's like, listen, I made this meal as a way to show you that I love you, right? You can love, she said it before, you can show love in many different forms. And she's like, putting a bunch of effort into cooking something for somebody is a way to do that. And little Nung, when it clicks for her, that's what Big Nung's been doing the whole time when she cooks for her. Her face, she's like, oh, you made all this for me because you love me. Like, I don't think she ever really considered that before, because Big Nung has made her food before. But I don't think she ever understood that, like, that was Big Nung being like, I love you the whole time, right? Because where did Nung learn this from? To quote a wise, ridiculous woman, namely Sam, buying it and making it with your heart are not the same thing. And Big Nung filed that lesson away forever. So, okay. And again, showing love through action and effort is Nung's style. And she's trying to explain that to little Nung. And she's like, I ain't a youngin'. This is what we're doing, okay? And she's like, then like lays her cards on the table and gives little Nung a choice, okay? And she's like, look, I want to be with somebody that I'm comfortable being myself around. Because like, that's been Big Nung's quest the whole fucking time, right? And she finally found the person that she could do that with. And little Nung also, I think, can relate to that, because Big Nung is her safe space and that's what she wants too. She just wants to be with somebody also she can be comfortable and herself around. And so Big Nung gives her the choice. She's like, listen, if you want that too, you can stay and like spend the night with me. And if you don't want that and you want to leave, that's fine too. Like, it's your choice. So she doesn't try to like manipulate her, control her. She gives little Nung the choice. Because as we saw with the scene with Chet, Big Nung does respect little Nung's decisions. So she's like, whatever you decide, I will respect that. I'm just letting you know how I feel and what I want. Which she's never done before. And I think that alone means a lot.
Yeah, I'm very happy that Big Nung brought up that it is little Nung's choice. I mean, obviously little Nung wants to stay, but by having Big Nung say this, it is giving little Nung her autonomy back, which everyone keeps taking away from her.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's frustrating. Like, the one person who doesn't do that is Big Nung. At least not intentionally. Right. So obviously, sleepover, leave. We all know what little Nung chooses.
I mean, first episode, can I move in with you?
Right, exactly. She's like, where's my key? So then we cut over to bedtime in Big Nung's room. And again, off screen, Big Nung must have gotten a bunch of dating advice from Sam, because what are they doing? Big Nung is brushing little Nung's hair before they get ready for bed, because that's the same thing Sam and Mon do before they go to bed. So Nung had to learn it from someone. I think this is a Sam thing. And now that little Nung knows what's going on, and she knows how Big Nung feels, and all the bullshit's dealt with, little Nung's confidence and audacity is back. And you know what? Happy to see it, ma'am. So little Nung asks, do you love me? And then Big Nung stops brushing her hair and then sits down on the bench next to her, and we transition to a mirror shot. Okay? I love mirror shots because they mean something, okay? Okay, because the camera, like, when you first see them and you enter the room, like, Big Nung is brushing little Nung's hair, and you're, like, looking over them towards the mirror. And then when she sits down on the bench, what you're seeing as the viewer is the reflection in the mirror, so they, like, switch positions, okay? So it's a little confusing. But what I love about this is that mirrors in visual media, what it represents is a inner reflection of what the character truly feels. So it's a moment of like truth. If you have multiple mirrors or a broken mirror, it's a fracturing of the self. So this is an authentic moment of them just being real with each other. And that's what I love. And I love that by the end of this episode, they do get to that place where they are being 100% vulnerable with each other. There's no masks on. There's no bullshit. There's no pettiness. They're just being themselves. Finally, to your point, Kaitlynn, this is all new. This is just them being themselves, okay? So little Nung, with all the confidence and audacity in the world, again, asks, do you love me? And Big Nung responds, are you asking because you want me to say it or to show you? And Lil Nung says both. Because both is good. Both is good.
Both. Yes. Both's an option.
Both is good. Both is good. Good answer, Little Nung. And Big Nung happily obliges by essentially kissing Little Nung senseless. And for me, in this kiss, it's the chin tilt that does it for me, where she just, like, does the chin tilt, and that's where the lip kiss starts, and it's like, God damn it. No. Like, who taught you how to do this? Like,
look at Big Nung in this shot.
She's so hot, it's stupid.
I know.
She's so hot, it's stupid. Again, Yoko, how do you not die during these scenes? Like, oh my god. The intent, like, okay, what I love about her, she has this Faye has this quality that I just love in actors, where she has this ability to just, like, she has this intensity with her staring that just makes it seem like there's nobody else in the world but the person she's staring at. Not everybody's capable of doing that, and it's so powerful, and it's just, like, damn, I love that quality in an actor, and she's one of the few people that has it, and it's just... And it's queer, like, I don't know. It's just so good, like, everything about this. Like, thank you, Faye, for existing and being in this show. God damn it. Poor Yoko. How did you survive this? Anyway, because, good lord, ma'am. Okay, so then Big Nung does this with her queer as fuck intensity and just, like, kisses her senseless, and then is like, did that prove it? And again, the audacity and confidence of Little Nung to say, not yet. Why so thirsty, Little Nung? Why so thirsty? Let's get into this. Because during their last sexcapades, what made it different, okay, at the beginning of the episode, was that Big Nung was focusing solely on Little Nung, okay, to prove that she loved her, right? That was the whole point of that, right? Okay, Big Nung, with all her lesbian intensity, was doing that, okay? So this was the opposite of their first time, where it was Little Nung putting all the focus on Big Nung as a way to comfort Big Nung and show her she was loved when she was grieving. Okay, and we can all assume that Big Nung was Little Nung's only sex partner at the time. Who knows what was happening during the, like, she was not coming home months?
Yeah.
But okay.
Well, that would be interesting, too.
We don't know. In the book, she says she was dating around, so who knows what that means? Getting drunk at clubs and sleeping at strangers' homes. Who knows what that actually meant, okay? But the first sex partner, okay? And then cut to the beginning of this scene. I mean, not this scene. Beginning of this episode, where Little Nung experiences her first O with Big Nung. Okay, that is what happened, okay? Because the first time they had sex, it was the other way around, okay? It was Big Nung get the O, okay? So Little Nung was left with this magical feeling she's never had before from this person she's head over heels in love with, okay? So different experience that's very powerful, okay? So because of that, she's very thirsty in this scene. And what she's telling Big Nung is like, girl, you gotta prove it to me with an O. That's the proof. That's what I want, okay? The kiss is great, and you're very good at this, but you're gonna have to give me several O's before I believe you, I think is what she's saying in this scene. And Big Nung is like, challenge accepted, bitch.
Oh my god, she would turn this into a challenge, though.
She would. She'd win. I mean, who's the winner in this? They're both winners in this scene. Okay, so we're finally at the point where Little Nung gets the love she wants, and Big Nung is determined to show Little Nung in all the ways that she is loved. So now that Little Nung has given Big Nung permission to show the love, Big Nung consistently from this point forward in the show is actively proving to Little Nung every day that she loves her. And like, we get to not the morning after the sexcapades, where she's like admitting she wants Little Nung to be over all the time. She'll do things where she like picks her up from school every day. She cooks her dinner every day. She gives her own room in the palace that she could, like, an actual room that's a safe space for her to do whatever the hell she wants in. She fucks her senseless. She gives her gifts out of nowhere. Like, Big Nung does everything for the rest of the show to prove she means what she's saying. She's like, when I say I love you, I mean that. And, like, does all the things consistently from this point over to, like, show that. And I love it.
I think she knew that she did the worst thing possible to Little Nung. She's like, I can never mess up again, and I will do everything in my power to show you that.
Yeah, like, literally. I think you are correct. Yeah. And, she said earlier, she's like, I'm a woman of action. I like to show my affection through action. She does all of the actions, sometimes unprompted. I love when she just randomly gets her gifts. It's very cute. Like, she does all these things unprompted just because she loves her. And it's very sweet. But Little Nung's like, give me the O first before you start giving me bracelets. Like, let's get to why we're here. So Big Nung takes them over to the bed. And as this is about to go down, we can hear crew members moving around on the set. Okay, and between this, I can't not hear this anytime we're in this hover. You hear crew members moving. Between this and the ASMR kissing, like, seriously, what the fuck went on with the Foley team in season 2? Like, what happened?
So I'm gonna be honest. I have to mute this episode because the sound is too much for my nerves. Like, it makes my skin crawl just because it is so ASMR-y, and those sounds, I don't like mouth sounds. I don't like hearing sounds from people. I don't like sounds in general, really. And I'm just like, how did they get a bigger budget but worse sound? Like, was it a style choice? Because it does sound like they upped the gain.
Oh yeah, for the kissing?
I feel like
they did.
Yeah. Because
the gains are up, yeah, for sure.
You can hear the distortion as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to have been conscious. And I don't understand why.
I mean, I do. It's an ASMR kiss. People are into that. It's not a bad thing. I don't understand why we didn't, like, edit the sound, though. It's just, like, it's a continued, like, somebody who edits the sound for these podcasts. Like, I edit out things so you don't have, like, these Why wasn't the crew member moving edited out? Like, that was such an easy, like, just clip that out. Anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely some things that could be edited.
Correct.
Because it's in between talking.
It's in between talking, right. Exactly. I'm like, that could have been edited out, and we would not be having this conversation right now. But something else I learned about this season 2 in particular from some, I forget if it was Patreon or YouTube. Could have been both, because all of you lovely people are so active with telling us stuff, and we appreciate it. Somebody mentioned that basically in season 2, one of the critiques they got from season 1 to season 2 was, like, the romance part wasn't as believable, so they had the actors workshop a bunch of things after it was already shot. So I wonder if most of the ASMR stuff is in these scenes where it's just the two of them. So I wonder if they went, as post was happening, if they went back, had Yoko and Faye workshop this, because they have workshops of them working on these things, and then they went back and reshot it. And I wonder if, because of the time crunch, they were just like, it is what it is. I wonder if that might have been part of it too, because this issue is not in other scenes where it's like the ensemble stuff. It's just the two of them. So I wonder if it was rushed because they had to go reshoot it. Maybe. I can see that, because there's some stuff that I'm like, you could just edit that and it's not a big deal. Like the crew member moving around when, like, the Fae is hovering over you. I'm like, why am I hearing crew members?
I'm pretty sure, like, they dropped something.
Yeah, but it was like, they don't talk for, like, a solid 5 seconds, and I'm like, you could have.
It is very obvious, because you didn't point it out to me, and I'm like, is that a crew member?
Is that a crew member? Yeah, I was like,
hoping
someone's moving. But my brain is always like, the Boo Palace is haunted by lesbian ghosts, so, like, it could be a ghost, and that also, fair. It's definitely haunted. So anyway.
They were celebrating.
Yeah, they're like, yay, gay stuff! And it was like, somebody slapped Prick. That's probably what happened. Anyway. Our Lady Pin is like, Edit, don't watch them. Anyway, so, because they're being terrible. Those ghosts are terrible. So, anyway, back to the gay stuff. So, Big Nung, once again, brings her top energy to this session, and she's making out with Little Nung until Little Nung pulls away. And Little Nung admits that she missed Big Nung a lot. Okay. Because we're at the point where, again, we're not being petty. There's no more bullshit anywhere. She says she misses her a lot. And Big Nung stops to, honestly engage with her, and she asks Little Nung, she's like, well, if you missed me, why didn't you call me? Which, I get, Big Nung, you don't dump somebody after sex and then be like, you didn't call me? It's like, girl, that was on you. It wasn't on her. Stop putting these things on her. And Little Nung is like the emotional mature one. She's like, listen, you didn't call me after dumping me to want to see me. But then she's like, fuck it. You know what? I don't want, again, to quote Sam, let's not think about the past. I want to think about the present when you're getting ready to fuck me senseless. Let's go back to that. Let's not think about what the hell just happened before, okay? And Big Nung's like, perfect. Let's move forward, because this episode's about the future. That's what this episode's about. She's like, no more resetting this anymore. No more pretending. We're going to let this relationship play out. And we'll see what happens. And trust me, and when I say, like, I'm going to show you that I love you, after tonight, there's going to be no doubt in your mind that I don't love you. So get ready for this. And Little Nung is like, finally, because that's all I wanted.
So is the audience.
And then Big Nung lovingly tops Little Nung, and no one is inebriated or grieving. And just like lesbian Jesus intended. And that is where it ends, and that's a good ending, okay? That's where it should end.
Yep.
All right. So, what Taylor Swift songs went with this episode?
All Too Well. You mentioned multiple times.
You Belong With Me. Standing by you, waiting at your front door. That was Little Nung.
Enchanted. Please don't be in love. So long.
That was a Yui.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to say that has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. One thing I love what they do is the way they frame the two of them. And they make the use of the fact of, like, Faye has long hair. And I love the way they have her, like, brush her hair to the side and it, like, cascades. And it, like, frames the two of them almost in this, like, it makes the space between them even more, like, intimate looking because of the way her hair, like, kind of, like, blocks out the background. I do love that. That's a good, like, framing when you have, like, two women in this kind of situation. I do love that. They do that pretty consistently with the two of them. And I like that choice of, like, framing.
I just like looking at Big Nung.
She's so hot, it's stupid. Okay, and then Big Gay Energy Award. That's hard. A Big Nung topping Little Nung is there anything gayer than that? I think that's pretty gay. Also, her outfits were super Big Nung. Just Big Nung. Just Big Nung. You can't beat her.
You can't.
Okay. You get a nice try for, like, Little Nung trying to dangle Yui. It's like, nice try for trying to have big gay energy, but that was never going to work because then Big Nung shows up and she's like, she likes you. Have you seen me? Come on now. Little Nung was like, damn it.
Big Nung will always have bigger gay energy.
Exactly. So, nice try, Little Nung.
Yeah.
All right, Kaitlynn. You already said your Big Gay Energy Award. So, what's your secret word for today?
Wow. I thought I had a word in here. Anyway, I do have a word. So today's secret word that we will challenge you to use in a comment or review without looking up the spelling or meaning if you don't understand it is the word inebriated.
I want to say that's been a word before, but I can't remember.
But I think it was.
It's good for this. Well, actually, yeah, it's good for this episode. Okay. Mm-hmm. Check that out. All right, so thank you for making it through part 2 of episode 1, season 2 of, like, the series. When we get back, hopefully we will be covering just episode 2. We will see. So, until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus, because Big Nung.
And gay it up all over the place.
Like Big Nung.
Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.